nothing in this video is financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We're not regulated by any financial conduct authority, anything like that. This is just purely opinions and educational.
People tell me, brother, it's haram. What's your dalil? Sheikh Sansa, okay, but what is this dalil? I don't know, I haven't looked into it. Okay, you haven't looked into it, then why are you pushing fat on my face then?
It's Allah who's in control. After acknowledging this, if you say to a person, Akhi, who provides? Allah. But then after acknowledging that, he'll reject it by attributing the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to other than Allah. I've been hearing it so much from brothers. Elon Musk, he did it. He put crypto on the map. I'm saying that statement is actually a statement of shirk.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Brothers and sisters, welcome back to another episode of Chai with my Bhai. On today's episode, well, first and foremost, we're not on the usual set. We're still in the process of acquiring a new office, a new set, a new studio. Alhamdulillah, we found a spot. We're just in the process of sorting out the final details. So inshallah, very, very soon, you'll be seeing us back to normal in the Chai with my Bhai set. On today's show, alhamdulillah, we have got Brother Imran as usual, and we've got a esteemed guest with us today. We've got Ustadh Muawiyah, a graduate from Medina University, and someone who's been active in the da'wah for quite a long time. Today's episode is a very interesting one. I know a lot of people who usually don't really watch our channel might potentially watch this particular one. A lot of people involved in finance and trading and stocks and so on and so forth, because we're going to be talking about cryptocurrencies, and more specifically, we're going to be talking about Bitcoin. Now, I'm sure overwhelming majority of people watching this have heard of Bitcoin in some way or another, whether it's on the news, in a good light, in a bad light, you know, people telling you to invest, people telling you it's a scam. Somewhere or another, you've probably heard about Bitcoin, but chances are a lot of you don't actually know what it really is, number one, and number two, is it halal? Is it haram? So hopefully, inshallah, in today's episode, that is something that we will be going through. And inshallah, by the end of the episode, you guys will have a better idea on that particular issue. Just to mention a quick couple of disclaimers. Number one, Imran and Ustadh Muawiyah already have done an MXP podcast talking a lot about the history of money and, you know, the issues with the current system, and also Bitcoin in there as well. I would highly advise all of you to go and watch that. The link should be in the description, and there will also be a little card on the screen somewhere to tell you to click. If Jimmy remembers, of course, yeah. If he doesn't, just comment below and we'll stick it on him, inshallah. And finally, just, you know, I think we have to do a little disclaimer as well. Otherwise, YouTube might take the video down. That nothing in this video is financial advice. We're not financial advisors. We're not, you know, regulated by any financial conduct authority, anything like that. This is just purely opinions and educational. So,
and it's entertainment.
And entertainment as well, of course, and entertainment as well. So, guys, you know, if you do decide to do anything as a result of this podcast, we're not liable for any losses. If you make any profits, we'll be happy to accept a percentage if it was because of us and you want to donate to us, why not? We'll accept it, no problem.
You're jumping the gun. They need to know whether it's permissible to invest in
I'm saying they might not. I'm saying anything you do because of this podcast.
You're talking like
they might turn around and short. No, they might turn around and short Bitcoin.
You're talking like this is you're about this crypto world.
No, I'm just saying, isn't it? Anything you do, if it's bad, we're not liable. If it's good, if you want to shout us, let me know, inshallah. Okay, before we get into it, I think Imran, you said that you wanted to mention a quick little advice before we get into the actual topic itself.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention something. I don't mean to try and put myself before Sheikh Muawiyah or anything like that. It's just something I wanted to mention, and then I kind of wanted to not really speak much and let him kind of speak. And, you know, you, mashallah, done a bit of research on this, so you can ask the Sheikh questions a lot better than me. I just wanted to talk about this concept of like who it is that we rely upon and who it is that we are attributing the blessing of our wealth to. And the reason I want to mention that in the context of this discussion, did I say the alhamdulillah when I started?
No.
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah, amma ba'd. The reason I wanted to mention it right now is because obviously ever since December, the Bitcoin's been blowing in terms of, you know, its value, okay? And the crypto market has been blowing, okay? And some people around the world, such as Elon Musk and other big investment firms.
What's blowing?
As in
Not
its
everyone-
price has been
okay.
its price, right? That's what I'm saying. Like it's been going up, and people like Elon Musk, who's now the richest man in the world, got involved and tweeted about it, and then I think
He
in one
was
night.
until 2 days ago.
Oh really? Who took him over?
Now what it is, because the Tesla stock went down, so most of his riches, most of his wealth is in the actual Tesla stock. So because
Yeah.
Tesla's got a bit of a dump, that's why
So he took a dump.
But
So
he's still up there though. He's still up there though. Maybe he's on number
is
two.
the Amazon guy above him now?
I would assume so because he was number 2 before, so I would assume
Number
so. Yeah.
two. Okay. Well, yeah, but so I'm saying you've got from the richest man in the world, and then you've got these big investment firms that get involved, and obviously, people see a correlation between their involvement and the Bitcoin price just soaring through the roof within a matter of hours, and there were some things that I just saw amongst the brothers who were involved that were benefiting. A lot of the young brothers, who were involved, they were benefiting from the increase of the price and the profits that they made on, the different type of, coins that they had invested in. It was kind of as if they were attributing the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to other than him. Like for example, brothers messaging me, yo, akhi man, this is all thanks to Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? And saying things like that. And I just want to mention an ayah in the Quran that, also Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he brings in Kitab al-Tawheed. Actually mentioned a chapter on this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he said, يَعْرِفُونَ نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ يُنْكِرُونَهَا. That they recognize the blessing of Allah. How do they recognize? They recognize the blessing of Allah, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who provides, the one who creates, the one who does, who benefits, who withholds harm or brings about harm. It's Allah who's in control. ثُمَّ يُنْكِرُونَهَا. After acknowledging this, if you say to a person, akhi, who provides? Allah. But then after acknowledging that, he'll reject it. And how does he reject it? By attributing the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to other than Allah, saying, this is all thanks to, I've been hearing it so much from brothers. Elon Musk, he did it. Elon Musk, he put crypto on the map. I'm saying that statement is actually a statement of shirk. It's minor shirk. It is minor shirk, but it is a statement of shirk nonetheless. A minor shirk is not something small. Anytime a person takes a blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave and they attribute it to the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala used to bring the blessing to you, then you have taken something which was for Allah Azza wa Jal alone and you've given it to other than Him. Now, of course, we know a lot of people maybe didn't mean it like that. That's why the scholars say this would be minor shirk and not major shirk. But the point is that this is still a form of shirk. And there's many evidences in the Quran to suggest this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا بِكُم مِّن نِعْمَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Any blessing that you have is from Allah. Period. Any blessing. Allah said, وَمَا أَصَابَكَ مِنْ حَسَنَةٍ فَمِنَ اللَّهِ. Any blessing that comes to you, again, is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْسُوهَا. If you was to try and count the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you would not be able to count them. Does that make sense? So if you happen to make some money, don't attribute the blessing to Bitcoin or to Cardona or Litecoin or the crypto market or Elon Musk or firms like Grayscale who are now all get involved. People are like, yes, thank you to all these firms, investment firms that are getting involved, and now my money is growing. This is all down to Allah. Yes, we do acknowledge the means, but we acknowledge the means as a means, not as the one who is the source of the blessing. It's very important because something's so light on the tongue, and it could actually be a reason for a person's rizq to actually be affected, because our rizq gets affected with sins. And if your rizq doesn't get affected, what's even scarier is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens the door for you and lets you carry on in this way, and then in the akhirah you struggle. The final thing I want to mention on this is not just from the angle of acknowledging the blessing, but also from the angle of tawakkul. Some of us have more tawakkul in Elon Musk or Bitcoin or the market than we have in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I saw many people. And these are things that you have to observe in yourself, which are quite profound. I saw many people who prior to the price in Bitcoin growing were really just not for Bitcoin. But then now Elon Musk and all these other people get involved, they're in it. Nothing really changed. Bitcoin has been, and the crypto market has been what it was before and after. It's just that certain people are involved now. So a person has to really ask himself, is my confidence, many people were convinced it's halal from before, and they were convinced that it's something is there, but their confidence in it grew based on certain individuals getting involved. So then and the reason I'm using the word confidence, because thiqah, which means confidence, Ibn al-Qayyim said is actually the essence of reliance upon Allah. So a thiqah confidence is the essence, the epicenter of at-tawakkul. So when you say I've got confidence in myself, I've got confidence in this or that, you're actually saying I've got reliance upon this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like someone will get involved in the investment when, you know, another person follows because they trust him, rely upon him and his movements in the market more than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being in control of the whole thing. Does that make sense? And that's problematic because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَعَلَى اللَّهِ فَتَوَكَّلُوا, upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala rely, in kuntum mu'minin, if indeed you are believers. Allah connected it to your iman. It's very important. وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever relies upon Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will suffice them. And if you have this, you know, you attribute the blessing to Allah, Allah is only going to increase you. Wait. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, لَإِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُم. If they're grateful, I'm going to increase them. If you rely upon Allah, Allah said, حَسْبُهُ, He's going to suffice you. So you're going to be good. Whether the Bitcoin market goes up or down, you're going in there, or I'm assuming that you're going to get involved. I'm just mentioning whatever investment that you get into, whether it goes up or down, whether it goes sideways, whether this one works out or the next one works out, or this one does or the other one doesn't work out. If you're going on there with acknowledging Allah is the one who blesses, then that's a form of gratitude. So Allah will increase you. And also if you're going in there completely relying upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's going to suffice you. So being increased in your investment, whatever it may be, and being sufficed, a guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's a pretty good investment wherever you go. Does that make sense? But the opposite will not only cost you the barakah in your risk, but it can cost you the next life as well. So it's just important that we acknowledge these things. Sorry, I just wanted to mention that. Now over to you guys. I'm gonna learn, inshallah. Take some notes.
Jazakallah khair. That was a nice reminder for us all. And I also like to add just one thing on you, because you mentioned about people getting a bit buzzed about Elon Musk and whatnot. And I think also one thing we should always recognize is that sometimes people get buzzed about themselves. They think, mashallah, this is because I. The I is a killer, man. Elon was one thing, but you must say, like, because I did this and because... No. Allah guided you to the right fi'l. Allah opened up doors for you that were previously closed, and that is it. And if you actually look at the biographies of a lot of the aghniya, a lot of the rich people, if you read the biography of Steve Jobs, you look at all these guys, you actually realize that there were actually events that were outside of their skill set that led them in that direction. Things that they did out of random, things that they did that was not necessarily connected to their knowledge that they had, but put them at the right place at the right time, and Allah opened up for them. And on the opposite, people who had the right knowledge, they had the right technology, but were just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and just never took off. So yeah, it's definitely if you make
that shows you qadr.
Yeah, exactly. Qadr. So if a person sees something that's a benefit, praise Allah. And if it's something that doesn't work out, praise Allah nonetheless. Like I said, so further, let's continue, inshallah.
Barakallahu feek. So first things first, what is Bitcoin? Is it a physical coin? Is it just something that's created out of thin air? Like, what is a Bitcoin and how does it work?
So Bitcoin is one of the first examples in the history of mankind of scarcity in knowledge. What I mean by that is, if I authored a poem, I wrote a poem, and I told you the poem, and I told Imran the poem, and I mentioned it here on the podcast, that's now being recorded. You can memorize it, Imran can memorize it, others can memorize it, and now they have a copy of that knowledge. I can't take it back off of you. I can't rip it out of your heads. You now have it. So in essence, using knowledge like that, you can't really have ownership. I mean, I can say it's my poem, but there's nothing stopping someone else saying, no, it's my poem. And another guy saying, no, it's my poem. There's no way to prove, realistically, that something belongs to someone else when it comes to knowledge, because it's not something I can grab. Islamically speaking, we've always attributed ownership. One of the fundamental signs, alamat, of ownership is qabda, possession. I've got it in my hand, it's mine. Because it's in my hand, that's my dalil. So if you claim, yeah, this brother stole from me my iPhone. Where's the iPhone? In his pocket. Okay, you bring dalil that it's your iPhone, because as far as we can see, it's his. Because that's the physical world. But if knowledge, how do I prove it's yours? If you know it, he knows it, there's no way to prove it. Bitcoin was the first time in history whereby you can actually have knowledge of something which is known mathematically, but it's known and actually is owned. You can't send it somewhere. You can't possess it. You can't use it without your permission. So that's one of the unique things, which is very, very hard for people to grasp, because literally, we've never seen something like this before. So basically, what I'm saying is that it's the first time in history we've had actual ownership of something which was not tangible, which is, like I said, it's difficult for people to understand and grasp that reality. And as you'll see today, as we try to address the objections against Bitcoin and why Bitcoin is haram according to some, it all comes down to 99% of the time down to su'u tasawwur, bad perception. They thought Bitcoin was this, and it's not that. That's most cases. So what's interesting about these objections is that inherently they're correct. As in, if they say Bitcoin is haram because of X, Y, and Z, yeah, it would be haram if it was X, Y, and Z. That's what's funny. It would be haram if it was as you said it is, but it isn't. And that's what I'm saying. It's very. Just think of it this way: if it's hard for the most tech savvy individuals to understand what Bitcoin really is, then why would we expect the ulama to be any more aware of the realities of Bitcoin? We even have the likes of what's his name, Bill Gates. I mean, he invented Windows. I mean, you can't get more tech savvy than he does, but even he doesn't get it. Based on comments he said recently. So that's why what Elon Musk did was a very bold move, because he did publicly and openly. I'm not just him on the individual, but obviously Tesla as a whole. He did publicly and openly. He took the first step for others to now think, okay, wait, let me give Bitcoin a better look. Let me just not, rather than just ignore it, let me actually take a look and see what it is. Because if he's done it, maybe there's something to it. And that's what you're going to see now, this FOMO, where forget us getting involved in Bitcoin. You're going to have companies get involved in Bitcoin. I mean, just
FOMO, just for the people who might not know.
What? Oh, FOMO is fear of missing out. That's what it means. Basically, people, they're scared of missing out, so they jump in. So, I mean, just think, I even mentioned this the other day to some people. I said, look, Elon Musk just put $1.5 billion into Bitcoin. So other car companies, they're going to see that, obviously, and they know what he did. So if Bitcoin does well in the next couple of months, they're going to think to themselves, you know what? It was already difficult to compete with Elon in just making cars. Now I've got to compete with his balance sheet of Bitcoin. They're going to have to make more money just to try and outdo his Bitcoin. Forget his making cars. So they're going to think, look, either I get some Bitcoin and just keep up with him, or just somehow see what happens. And all it takes is one other car company to say, yeah, I'm going to do it as well. Then it's like, okay, wait, now two mans are doing it. Why am I not doing it? Maybe I should think about it. No, a third man. Okay, you know what? Now everyone's doing it. Let me get in quick. And there's a funny psychological saying: no one wants to be the first, but no one wants to be the last either. So it's that once a few mans are in, then everyone starts rushing in because no one wants to be the last man in. So that's what FOMO is. And that's basically what we're seeing as it is at the moment. But like I said, the point is perception. What is Bitcoin? And I think one of the best ways of doing it, like what we're doing today, is actually addressing some of the objections.
So you think it'd be better to go straight into the objections rather than trying to describe what Bitcoin is? Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, in terms of the what.
On a basic level, what is it?
A number. That's what it is. It's just a number. Imagine, for example, in the past when we had money, currency, like shells or stones or glass beads or whatever, there were obviously limited supply of these things. And we use these limited items to account for exchange of goods. We use it as a unit of account, yeah? But those things, the problem with those things inherently is that you can always have more. Yeah, we can have 100 shells in our village, but maybe one guy comes in one day with another 100, so now we've got 200 shells. So you could literally dilute the function of the money by just adding more money to it. The most rarest and scarcest form of money we had so far was gold, as in terms of acquiring gold, getting gold. But even gold isn't limited. It is limited more than others, but there isn't actually an absolute cap. There isn't actually an absolute limit that is this maximum amount of gold that we have, and we know it. We don't. We can continue mining gold for many, many years, even decades, or as soon as we become space worthy, we can even go out mining gold outside of space. So there's no actual limit to gold. Whereas Bitcoin is just a limited share of, you could say, 21 million Bitcoins. And that's my way of exchange. So to equate value, I ascribe this number to this value. So I'll say, look, I want to sell you my car. Give me give me 10 Bitcoin for this car. There you go. So now I've given you a car and I've got this thing here, this number that I can use to exchange for other things. That's the purpose of money. Money is a medium of exchange, a medium to store your wealth. And when you need to release that energy, you release that energy to give someone else.
Like, I think I was reading that the very first transaction ever made, that's recorded anyway, was someone spent 10,000 Bitcoin on a pizza.
Yeah.
They sent, and that was basically, in other words, they pay to it. It's similar to the currency that we have today. But what makes it unique? What makes it different to pounds?
Yeah, so the unique features, I mean, if you look at the features of money, anything can be money, technically speaking. I can say to you, look, I'll agree to do some work for you if you pay me in burgers. I mean, our center here is next door to Sahara Grill. And often they come here and say, bro, do you mind doing this for me? I said, yeah, give me a burger and I'll do it. So my currency with Sahara Grill is burgers. I get paid in burgers. I'm not even joking. So that's,
really?
It's not. Yeah. So they come here, I do what I need to do, and I say, just give me a burger and we call it quits. I don't want money. I want a burger. So that's kind of like a medium of exchange. I've used the burger to equate a short, small job. That's fine. Anything can be used as a medium exchange. But as for pounds, dollars, all that kind of stuff, that's the first time in history we've had a medium of exchange that was entirely worthless. As in, be honest, everyone watching this, open your wallet, take out your pounds, your £5, £10, and just look at it. It's a piece of plastic. It used to be paper. Now it's plastic. Why would having 10 of these £10 notes mean I can get this X, Y, and Z? Why would having 10, 50 notes mean I can get an iPhone? Why does piece of paper mean I can have anything? It's because we've used it as a medium of exchange and a medium of account. And we ascribe value to that stuff. Whether it's good or not is another issue. But what Bitcoin does, it allows you to do the same thing, but without the downfalls and pitfalls of fiat money. What are the downfalls and pitfalls of fiat money? Number one, fiat money, or the pounds and dollars, have, like I just... So,
Shayukh, can you just explain what fiat money is? I know a lot of people don't understand what fiat, that term. I know you kind of just...
Yeah. So fiat basically is, I think it's a Latin term, which basically means let it be. So in the past, they had when they had coins made out of golden coins. I think it was the Romans who first, not first, they weren't first, it was Lydians who were first, but the Romans started to dilute their coins with other metals like copper and stuff so they can get more coins out of their gold. Up until people started to realize that these gold coins are not actually worth what they say it's worth. As we know how much gold is worth, if I weigh gold, I know how much it's worth, but this gold coin actually isn't worth what it says it's worth. So therefore the phrase came up that you should take it on face value. We say it as like I say it, take it on face value, but it actually came from money. As in, take the money based on the value it says on its face. Not its real value, but the face value. That's what we have right now with fiat money. Our fiat money, it says £10 because it tells you it's £10. It's not actually worth anything. It's just saying this is £10. What Bitcoin does differently is that each Bitcoin actually costs money to have. I mean, it doesn't cost me anything to have £10 note. I can print, and they do. In order to earn a Bitcoin or get a Bitcoin, you have to actually do work. And hopefully, some of the objections we will talk about is what gives it value, so we'll talk about it then. But the point is, that's what it is. It's a number that allows you to transact, but more importantly, it allows you to transact without any middleman. There's no one between me and you. If you showed me your Bitcoin wallet right now, your receive address, I can send you Bitcoin over this conversation. I can send you some money. There's no banker between me and you. There's no permission from anyone between me and you. I just do it. It's just done. No one can stop the transaction. No one can undo the transaction. Once it's done, it's done. That's what makes Bitcoin very powerful. Now imagine you want to build a masjid in some place in Asia or in Africa, and he wants to raise money to do so. All you have to do is set up a web page, put your Bitcoin address, and everyone can just donate. Done. I don't have to go to Charity Commission. I don't have to go to some kind of bank to get permission. I don't have to register. I just do it. And that's the purpose of Bitcoin. It's a trustless system. I don't need to trust anyone to use it and to build on top of it or to transact in it. That's the true power of Bitcoin. It actually gives Muslims back power over their wealth. And one final point, which is very, very important, which I think people really need to focus on and not ignore. Our current fiat system, our current paper money system, is built from the ground up on riba, on interest. The issuing of the money comes through interest, through central bank loans, high street banks. All the money comes into existence through interest. It's built on interest. Bitcoin is not built on interest. So we can't just say, oh, Bitcoin is haram, let's continue using this money. Do you not realize the money we have, the bank system we have, we are feeding an interest-based system. Whether you like to admit it or not, that's what it is. So we can't just ignore what we currently have in this discussion. It's actually very, very important. Even if you hold that Bitcoin is haram, because I'm sure some will still say that, my question to them will be, is it more haram than fiat money? Because we know by the Quran and the Sunnah that riba is haram. And we know by the reality that this money comes into existence by riba. So if we know 100% that fiat is haram and Bitcoin is a maybe, which one's the lesser of the two evils? Ask me that question. What's the lesser if you think it's haram? If it is haram, which one's the lesser two evils? One which is 100% guaranteed to be haram and the one which isn't. Anyway, so I think that was a brief intro into what Bitcoin is. I think if you have any objections, before the objections, actually, I should say, I would say my main grounds for saying Bitcoin is halal is the fact that Bitcoin is speech. Bitcoin is communication. It's a network of computers all across the globe that just communicate. So to say that Bitcoin is haram is to say that it's haram for me to communicate. Think about that. To say it's haram to use Bitcoin, to send Bitcoin, you're saying to me it's haram for me to tell someone something. How does that make sense? We're not saying if you go
essentially you're just exchanging information.
That's all you're doing. It's like if I give an example on my YouTube channel, I said if I'm buying something from Imran, so Imran, I'm gonna come buy a car for you. Yeah? I said, look, brother, you got a nice car. I want to buy a car for you. Cool. How much? 1 bar of gold, kilogram of gold. Cool. That's fine. That's good price. Brother, I ain't got the gold on me, you know. The gold, as you know, is with Sheikh Abdullah. Sheikh Abdullah of the village, he holds all our gold. Everyone's gold, he holds it in his vault. But what I'll do, I'm going to get a piece of paper and I'm going to write on it, Ya Sheikh Abdullah, please give my 1 kilogram bar of gold to Imran. Here's my signature. And I'm going to put it into an envelope and I'm going to post it to him. And I'm going to give that now to him and he's going to update his records. He's going to look at his records. Okay, now, it's no longer with Muawiyah, now it's with Imran. He's updated his records. Are we seriously saying that form of communication is haram? For me to tell someone else to do something for me and him doing it is haram?
I think if someone asks though and they say, but surely it's more than just communication. It's a communication that's a transaction at the same time. Like there's value being exchanged. Yes. Like if someone like someone sells you a book, they've sold you information. I mean, it's not exactly the same, but they're saying that the problem here, if someone contests towards its hukum being haram, is not from the angle of its communication, but they're saying that this particular transaction, for whatever reason, is impermissible, not the element of communicating information.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because one fatwa I read today, that the Sheikh actually said that he's not objecting to Bitcoin being actual currency. What he's saying is that the use of it is haram, and he gave his reasons for it. I'm probably going to cover some of them today. Like I said to you, the main question we have to ask ourselves is, can I use things to transact with? As in, can I give you this thing for whatever service? Like I say, can you cut my hair and I give you my AirPods? Can I use it as a means of transaction? Yes, you can. It's a thing. I can exchange anything for anything. As long as the thing fundamentally is halal, it's not pork and it's not a dog or anything. As long as it's halal, I can use it to transact.
So Sheikh, is that like a principle? If you could just mention this for the benefit of the people. So is that like a principle in the Sharia that anything can be transacted as long as it's tahir, it's not najis, as long as it's, there's intifat, there's benefit in it. Like what is a dabit? What are the principles for something that can be used for transaction? Because like people have this concept in their mind that one of the principles is that it has to be something tangible.
Yes.
It has to be tangible. So is there any basis for this?
Yes.
So if you can explain for us.
So that's a very interesting point here, and hopefully that would open up this discussion and also open up people's perception of this discussion. Where is this discussion coming from and where is it going? Some of the ulama have mentioned things like purchasing things that are tangible, that are in your hand, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a very valid point. When you're dealing with what's the word I'm saying? Let's go back to pre-computer, before we have computers. Yeah. How would I transact with you? I mean, how would I even speak with you? I'd have to actually go to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no real way of transacting with you without actually getting what I'm giving you and going to your location and giving it to you by hand. But in the last 100 years, we've actually have a whole network of computers that we can communicate now by far. I can pick up the phone and I can give you information immediately. So when it comes to this discussion of tangibility of things, that now has become especially in the last couple of decades, that's almost become like a grey area now, because how many things that we transact is not tangible? Let me give you an example. When I, for example, if I was to, for example, purchase a poem, have I purchased anything tangible? Can I grab the poem?
No.
I can't.
You grab the book that it's on.
I can grab the book, but imagine I didn't grab the book. Imagine, like, for example, somebody's for example, on what's it called? Some platforms, you can purchase use of it, you can gain access to it. Or, for example, like brother mentioned earlier on, copyright or patents. That's a classic one, a patent. Can I purchase a patent? Yeah, you can actually patent something and sell a patent. You can sell it legally. You can actually sell a patent. And from what I read from the Fatwa Lajna Da'ima, they recognize copyrights as an ownership of ideas. And that's actually very interesting. They've actually recognized the ownership of an idea. So the basis is there. But obviously, if you go back a few hundred years, you won't find these kind of conversations in those books, because it never existed. The idea of patents and transacting things are not tangible. Does it make sense? How could you have money that is not tangible? Money was always tangible. But now we actually have a mechanism, a means to have non-tangible money. Now you have to start widening the scope. Okay, if it's not tangible, how can I use this money? And this is where it comes important. Why would Bitcoin be halal then if I just said to you money has to be tangible? Because listen carefully, I said it earlier on, if you picked it up. Because Bitcoin is the first time I can actually have ownership of something that is not tangible. Before Bitcoin, it wasn't ownership of things that weren't tangible. Does it make sense?
So Sheikh, is this condition of it being tangible? Does it come down to the issue of tam at-tasarruf? That is that why it's been stipulated? Meaning that if you could explain that for the people, so then
So basically, for example, if I said to you, I want to sell you a chicken, I'll buy a chicken. How much you want to sell for? £5. Here you go. Give me the £5. You give me the £5. Where's the chicken? Yeah, it's somewhere lost in the field over there. So even though the chicken is tangible, I actually don't even have it to give you, which would make that transaction haram. Because I can't even give you it. It's not even physically here to give you. Because remember I said to you in the past, ownership. How would you transfer ownership? Through possession, through physical ownership. But we live in a world now where I can actually transfer ownership without physically touching it. Does that make sense? So for example, can I transfer money from my bank account to your bank account?
You can.
But none of it, did you feel it in your hand?
No.
You just went to your phone, opened the app, and the numbers are there on your phone.
So just to understand, and please tell please correct me if you think I'm misunderstanding or trying,
it's
or
fine,
just
fine.
maybe misrepresenting, just so that people can understand, because I don't want to get lost in the source. So in the Sharia, there is when you transact, there has to be tam tasarruf, which means you have to have complete ability to do whatever you want with that thing that you
Perfect.
you
Perfect.
own. So if
Perfect.
I transact with you and I sell you something, but you are not able to do whatever you want to do with it, for example, the chicken is somewhere or whatever have you, that transaction would, it can be impermissible. Obviously there's milk tam and milk naqis, so but just don't want to confuse people. There's generally that transaction can be nullified. It can be baseless, right? So then a condition was stipulated. I'm just asking, please let me know if I get this wrong. So a condition was stipulated that the thing has to be tangible, because if it's tangible, you have tasarruf. You are able to do whatever you want with it. If it's a tangible thing, you can do whatever you want with it. But we live in a day and age now.
Don't forget that. Remember, in the past, transactions and ownership. What was the ultimate dalil of ownership?
Qabd, as in it's in your hand, in your possession.
There you go.
Possession, yeah.
How can you have possession of qabd if it's not tangible? You get it? So do you see why that connection is? The tangibility.
But you're saying, but now we can have ownership. But now
you're
saying now, so now as in now we can have qabd of non-tangible things. For example, my wallet or my phone.
Exactly. So if I send you Bitcoin right now, you actually have mathematical proof internationally on every computer on planet Earth that you own this Bitcoin now. You can't physically take it, but you can prove it mathematically. Without a shadow of a doubt. Everyone can. You ask anyone on planet Earth, does he own that Bitcoin? They say, yes, he does own Bitcoin. So there is actually proof of qabd, although it's not physically qabdi. It's mixing two words together, English and Arabic.
Yeah. So Sheikh, this is the question. My mind's just thinking here. I'm not in any way, shape, or form trying to pass a fatwa in case anyone thinks anything like that. I'm just asking for my own benefit. Does that mean that there's an argument to be made that you can actually have more, your tasarruf, i.e. your ability to do whatever you want, and with your Bitcoin is actually greater than your tasarruf with your money in the bank? Because in the money in the bank actually takes money out and it sells and it loans your money. It actually does what it wants to do with your money. Yeah. But with Bitcoin you actually have more tasarruf. Your tasarruf is more tam. is that
the irony of what you're saying is that you've realized something quite profound, but I believe you haven't even realized it yet. Let me tell you why.
Okay, go on.
You realized it, but you need to realize it to the next level.
Okay,
when the bank has your money, it's actually not even yours anymore legally.
Really?
It's a debt. When you deposit money into the bank, when you put money into the bank account, they now owe you money. It's not yours.
So
it's now a liability.
I've given them a loan.
Perfect. Every time you deposit money to the bank account, they now owe you money.
Is that transaction?
That's why you get interest. Well,
that's why they put interest in our account.
That's why they give you interest, because they're giving you interest on the loan you've given them.
Oh, wow.
People need to wake up when they say,
how do we even do this?
It's Bitcoin halal. Wake up, guys. Putting your money in the bank, that is you engaging in riba.
Even if it's a current account where you're not getting interest, it's not a savings account, they're still using that money to give out loans. They're still using that money.
Read the terms and conditions.
Read the terms and conditions. When you deposit money in a bank account, it's a liability. It's not. Think of it.
Ability. It's not. Think of it this way. There's in Arabic, there's something called a wadi'a. In the transactional, there's something called a wadi'a, and something called a qard. A qard is a loan. You owe me.
No.
When you give a loan, a qard, one of the conditions of that loan is that once I've given you the money, you now owe me money. The money now that's in your hand is now yours 100%. You can do whatever you want with it. I have no say over that money. So, for example, imagine you said, can I borrow 500 quid? I need to pay some bills. Cool. Here's 500 quid. Great. Now I owe you 500 quid. Now you use that money to buy some trainers. So now I said to you, brother, what are you doing, man? You said you can pay bills with it, but I changed my mind. Nah, bro, you can't do that. You say, of course I can. It's my money now. I owe you 500 quid, but you gave it to me now. Now it's my money. I have tam tasarruf. It's now, like you said, I have full mulkiyya, I have full ownership. I can do with it what I like. All I now is owe you money. So eventually, when I pay you back, now I'm giving you, I'm cancelling that liability. However, a wadi'a is where it's like how this is how people think banks are. It's a safety deposit box. You go there with your key. They have a key. You turn the key. You open it up, and you open the box, and you have all your stuff inside there. That's a wadi'a.
Yeah.
They can't touch it. They can't use it. They can't do anything with it. They just have a box. You put it in a box. You lock it. That's it. That's not how banks work. People think banks is a wadi'a. No, banks is a loan. So what you said is actually more profound because it's true. You actually have more possession, more qabd of your Bitcoin than you have in your pounds in the bank.
But like I said,
Sheikh, are there any mashayikh or any like fiqh councils, as in ones that are on the sunnah who have passed a fatwa in favor of Bitcoin?
Yeah. Probably not as advertised as the other camp, but that's obvious reason because usually there's always more. There's more spreading power when it comes to fitna rather than the other way. Innit? But there was a PhD paper that was presented in Medina University by one of the mashayikh over there, going through what is Bitcoin, and his conclusion it was halal. There's Al-Barrak, Sheikh Al-Barrak. He mentioned. He said he used to.
Is that Sheikh Abdurrahman ibn Nasir Al-Barrak?
Yes. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he used to say that. I think he used to have tawaqquf on it, but then recently he said, after looking into it, he sees no reason to say it's haram.
That's quite profound. That was just so people know. That was the Shaykh, the Ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah. He was, when he mentioned one of the 3 people to go to for knowledge. When he was dying, Sheikh Abdurrahman ibn Nasir al-Barrak rahimahullah ta'ala was one of the 3, alongside Sheikh Salih Fawzan. He said, go. These are men. Go to them for knowledge.
I mean, what's interesting, I think everyone should really pay attention to right here, especially as you go into the objections, is that when it comes to analyzing and assessing the merit of a fatwa, we need to focus on the details of the fatwa and not the names. That's why, because I don't want to drop names. Oh yeah, Sheikh so-and-so said, and Sheikh so-and-so. I don't care if Sheikh so-and-so said. I like the Sheikh, I love the Mashaykh. Even some of my own Mashaykh that I love dearly are against Bitcoin. But that it means nothing to me because what matters is the details. As I say, the devil's in the details. Is what they're saying match up with reality? If it does, we accept it. If it doesn't, then it is what it is. It doesn't matter if they're the Mufti al-Aam or some local guy in a masjid. Let's analyze the details and look at the waqi'. So my premise is that Bitcoin is from the affairs of the dunya. Mm-hmm. And the affairs of the dunya by default is halal. It's not for me to prove it's halal, it's for others to prove it's haram. So based on what I just said here, where I've made a claim that Bitcoin is halal. That's my claim. Now, Abu Bakr is now going to bring all the objections to Bitcoin to now prove otherwise. So let's go.
Inshallah. And I think it's very important to mention that the asl is that it's permissible. For you to now say that it's haram.
We should have mentioned this at the beginning.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was trying to. When you were going to look on your run along verdict. That's what I was going to ask. But I mean, that's
as in that, but that is quite profound. I think that needs to register in people's minds, as in the asl of every single thing that is not religious is that it is permissible unless and until an evidence comes to make it haram. And the religion is actually really strict on making things haram without dalil. Like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ. Who has made haram the beauty and the beautification that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has brought out for his slaves? Like the religion is very strict. A person can actually leave the fold of Islam by taking someone as one who makes things that Allah made halal haram and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Of course, it's a more nuanced discussion there.
Sheikh Muhammad bin Salih Uthaymeen, my beloved Sheikh, love him to bits. He made an amazing fa'idah. I can't remember which book it was. I read it a while back. He said, in opposition to what
people think, saying something is halal when Allah says haram is less a sin than saying something is haram that Allah has made halal. Because saying something is haram when Allah...
Could you repeat that, Sheikh? Repeat that, please.
Sheikh said that saying something that Allah has made haram, saying it's halal, is less a sin It's still a sin, but it's less of a sin than saying that something which Allah has said halal is haram. Let absorb that for a minute. Because I know we love to criticize these what's it called? These modernists that say everything's halal. But the joke is their sin is lesser than those who say haram. Why did the Shaykh say that? Is it because Say that again?
Yeah, I was gonna say the Shaykh is reasoning.
Because the thing is, the reason why it's worse is because something being halal is the asl, and that applies to everything. That's one of the most strongest evidences you have. And you need evidence to say haram. So to say something is haram, to say something is haram, you're actually claiming evidence that doesn't exist. Where to say something is halal that Allah has said is haram, at the best, that's ignorance of the daleel. Yeah, because you're on the asl. And that's something which when I read that, it was so profound because it made me realize that as a person who's mutadayn, as a person who actually tries his best to enforce Allah's sharia on himself and his family, I am at more risk of a major sin than someone who's always labat, everything's halal. As there's more risk for the mutadayn, there's more risk for the person who's upon the sharia to fall into a major sin than someone who's wishy-washy. That's amazing, isn't it? That's amazing, isn't it? It's actually the opposite of what we think. We think, these guys, everything's halal, this is halal, that's halal. But that's actually, at the very least, you can say he's ignorant of the daleel of tahrim.
But that also doesn't justify their
No,
their
it doesn't
modernism.
justify it. But what I'm saying is that, as for example, you can say to them, did you know that daleel is haram? And they'll say, oh, jazakallah khair, I didn't know that. But to say something is haram without daleel, the question is, now you're saying, wait, you must know there's daleel. Because the asl is halal. So if you're saying it's haram, that must mean you have daleel that is haram. So where is it then? If you can't produce it, you fall into a big sin. And unfortunately, we do, I'm sure you recognize it. We have a lot of people who do this.
Yeah.
A lot of people do this. They'll see something new and say, astaghfirullah, it's haram. And you might say to them, but why? And they don't have any evidence. But their initial reaction is, no, haram.
No, definitely. But I definitely believe the concept of giving it the hukm of halal, that's, أَتَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. You're speaking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. That's major.
That's actually the ayah the Shaykh actually mentioned when he mentioned that.
Oh, really? Because, it's profound that Allah Azza wa Jalla, when he meant, قُلْ حَرَّمَ رَبِّيَ الْفَوَاحِشَ مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا وَمَا بَطَنَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us the things that He has legislated that are haram for us. Fahsha, filthy things. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned al-ithm wal-baghi. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned al-shirk. And after shirk, He mentions to speak about Him subhanahu wa ta'ala without knowledge. You see? Yeah. So definitely the concept of saying this is haram without daleel. Also to say, the asl is that it's halal. But if they're in the face of a daleel that says it's haram, to say it's halal, it's problematic. So obviously passing a fatwa, that's always problematic. But Shaykh, don't you think that the notion though and the spirit of that, even though for them to say it's haram, I agree that's wrong, but that spirit of where it's coming from is from a place of wara', a place of wanting to just stay away from the haram. Can we criticize a person who says, look, I don't want to get involved in Bitcoin, not because he doesn't say the word haram. He says, but I'm waiting for more scholars to come out.
Yeah, the thing is
that praiseworthy? Is that bad? Is that
no? There's nothing wrong with that. The not acting until you have knowledge, that's praiseworthy. There's nothing wrong with that. But what it does mean though, there was one when I was studying Usul al-Fiqh in Medina, there was one definition of mustahab and makruh which really stuck with me. It was amazing. I thought, wow, this is I'm memorizing this one. It says sunnah ما يثاب فاعله ولا يلام تاركه.
No.
So you reward the one who does the sunnah, but you can't complain and whinge and moan about the one who leaves it. How often do you find people will criticize someone for not doing the sunnah? Brother, astaghfirullah, why did you use sunnahs? Brother, that's not how sunnahs work. Sunnah is a kind of thing we say, mashallah, he did his sunnahs, mashallah, Allah reward you. You can't have a go at the guy for not doing it. Yeah, you can't rebuke them because it's sunnah. That's the whole definition of sunnah. That la yulamu tarikuhu, and the opposite of makruh. La yulamu fa'iluhu. So if you see someone who likes Bitcoin, who has Bitcoin, if you'd say astaghfirullah, akhi, why are you doing that for? Do you know what the ulama have said? Bruv, I mean, are you telling me it's haram? No, I don't know it's haram. I'm gonna stay away from it. Okay, if you don't know, then don't come and criticize. If you have wara, by all means, to you and yourself, but to now go to the next level and warn someone from it and say, astaghfirullah, akhi, you know, Shaykh, so-and-so, Shaykh, so. I've had this discussion so many times over the many years. People tell me, brother, it's haram. What's your dalil? Shaykh, so-and-so, okay, but what is this dalil? I don't know, I haven't looked into it. I mean, okay, you haven't looked into it, then why are you pushing fat on my face then? You know what I mean? If you haven't looked into it, if you haven't got any conviction to say this, that, the other, then just say, I don't know.
The fact that this name said it, therefore, you know, it must have weight.
Yeah. So I mean,
so as in you're saying, Sheikh, if something is mustahab, him leaving it off, he's not sinful. Then how can he be sinful for leaving off something that's mubah in the first place?
I didn't get that said again.
And if you can't criticize a person for leaving off a sunnah, then how can you criticize him for leaving off something that's not even sunnah, it's mubah? It's not even a religious thing in the first place.
Perfect. Yeah. And like I said to you, I always say to people, look, are you telling me that I can't go to a shop and buy food and exchange for that food something else that the guy wants? Whatever it is, I know, a cup or a vessel or a book. I can use anything to exchange. There's nothing in the Sharia that says I can't use the mubahat to trade with. So you need to give me evidence that this particular thing is haram. Otherwise, it is what it is. But let's get into the nitty gritty. Go for it.
Okay, inshallah. So the first thing I wanted to ask was, a lot of people say that Bitcoin, crypto, it's money that's created from nothing. There's new Bitcoin being created all the time. Every transaction, the miners, they get new Bitcoin, right? That Bitcoin didn't exist before. It's coming into existence. So it's literally being created from nothing. And that it has no intrinsic value in and within of itself. And, you know, I've heard a lot of even kuffar say, like, you know, like quite well-known people out there who say that, you know, it comes down to the greater fool theory, that you're just waiting, you buy it, hoping that someone else will pay more for it, that another fool that's greater than you will pay more, and he's buying it, hoping that, you know, in a year's time, there'll be another fool greater than him who pay more for it. But in reality, it has no value in and within of itself. Therefore, it can never be a currency or a commodity.
Yeah. So that is true as being a reason for one to stay away from Bitcoin, if that was the case.
But as I hinted to before, and I mentioned before, is that Bitcoin, to get a Bitcoin, requires energy. It requires time. And it's the first time in the history of mankind where we've had the ability to digitize energy. Listen carefully. To digitize energy. So again, if I want to get gold from a mountain, I have physical energy in my bones, in my arms. I have a pickaxe, and I'm literally exerting energy to get this ore, and I put that ore into a bucket. I transport this gold, this heavy ore, all the other minerals and stuff inside it. I take it to my smelt or my foundry, and I heat up this ore. I separate the gold from the wasakh, from the dirt, and then I pour this gold into a mold, and I stamp my coin. All of that is energy. All that is effort. And I do that so that I can make money. Literally speaking. And this is a funny thing, it's a little bit pun intended. As in, I do work to make money, but I'm actually doing this to actually make money. So what gives gold coins its value is the work I put into it. Makes sense? Listen carefully, if I was able to just press a button and I get a new gold coin, a new gold coin, a new gold coin, a new gold coin, gold won't have its value right now because it's easy. I can just go and do it. Yeah. Scarcity and work and energy put into it, that's what gives gold and anything, by the way, its value. Let me give you another scenario. Actually, this is something a bit more closer to home. So you guys do accounts here. You guys have your knowledge college. You have your things going on. And Abu Bakr has developed a nice little spreadsheet. He spent a good 2 weeks going through tutorials, making the tables, inputting data. He's putting the formula in, learning the formula. He's done all this effort to make this nice, pristine spreadsheet to manage your accounts. Then Khalid comes knocking on your door. Abu Bakr, I heard you was working on the spreadsheet. Yeah, I finished it, mashallah. It took me a whole 2 weeks to do it. Yeah, cool, man. Give me a copy of that. Now, in your mind, you're like, wait, I just put 2 weeks of work into it. Now, man just won't take anything like that for free. You're like, yeah, pay me for it, innit? I mean, give me some money for that. And the question is, why? Why did you ask money for that?
Because I put time, effort into it.
Perfect. So you've actually equated value for something that's not tangible. Listen carefully, I've caught you guys. See, the spreadsheet, all the formulae, it's just numbers on the screen. You can't grab it. I can't exchange it. It's not tangible, but it's work involved. You actually put work into it and effort. Now that thing actually has value. That's actually why a lot of people actually do apps. Why do people develop apps and make apps? Because they realize that if you put all this time and effort and skill, they hope that one day someone will take this off them because it has value. So the fact that, so basically that argument is mentioned
there that Bitcoin comes out of nothing, it has no value. Yes, it's true. Bitcoin has no value if it came out of nothing, if that's how it is. But what I said to you, that's not how it is. I can't get Bitcoin without effort, without doing something. And every miner, when they mine Bitcoin, is actually doing something. So basically, the premise is wrong. The point is saying the reason why that's false is because the premise is false. The premise is that Bitcoin has no value, therefore it's haram. I'm saying actually Bitcoin has value, and I can prove it. Does that make sense?
How can you prove it?
So, because give me a Bitcoin now. Go on, show me. If it's really worthless, give me Bitcoin right now. How would you do so? First and foremost, to get a Bitcoin, I have to have a mining rig. I have to have a computer. It has to be able to mine Bitcoin. And that mining, what is it doing? Is getting transactions from the internet or from the network and putting into a block and locking in these transactions. As in me sending Bitcoin to you only happens because Bitcoins may find the block. Oh, it's not Bitcoin, because miners find the block. That's work. They're doing a service for everyone on planet Earth. They're doing a service to you, they're doing a service for me, and they get rewarded for that service. It's like any work. If I said to you, brother, can you do my account to me? You pay your accountant, innit? You guys have an account, you pay your accountant. You paying for work he does, isn't it? Is that not? You know, so miners get paid for the work they do. So you can't say
they get paid
nothing.
in Bitcoin.
And they get paid in Bitcoin. Excellent.
So you can't say it's worthless.
So people are thinking, what's a miner?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to make this video long on the topic of mining, but I have a video dedicated to mining. Go to the YouTube channel.
We can link it below.
Yeah, so if you want a detailed breakdown, how does mining work? Who are miners? What's the purpose of mining? Why do you even need miners? All that stuff is covered. I wanted to focus on the issue of halal and haram. So the first objection is, Bitcoin is haram because it's worthless. And I would say Bitcoin is priceless, actually. I would say it's priceless because Bitcoin allows me to transact anywhere on the globe. I can go to Saudi Arabia and spend my Bitcoin. I can go to Malaysia and spend my Bitcoin. And no one can stop me. That's not worthless. That's worth a lot of money. I can store my money. Go on.
No, so you're saying?
I mean, it's worth like 36K right now as we speak. So,
but that's something else, and I'll come to that, where people say it's just a bubble, it's a pump and dump scheme, like a pyramid scheme. At some point, a pyramid scheme has millions in it. Does that mean that is genuinely worth millions? No, it's just
no. But the pyramid scheme itself is not what you can't put a value. Okay.
What I was going to say, Sheikh, I was talking to some of the brothers, and I just gave an example, is that this sort of thing really works, and you see it working because, like, I think there was a survey that was done, and I think 33% of, which is the highest, people in Nigeria were using it. Why? Because these people didn't have traditional bank accounts. We here in the West, and we don't appreciate a bank account because for us it's normal.
Privilege.
It's
privilege, brother.
Exactly. And but I said to them, for example, look, let's say, for example, like, because they came Umrah with us, I said, we went Umrah, there was a thobe tailor, right? And he was behind the hotel. We all used to go to him. I said, even me, I can only buy a thobe from him if I'm in Saudi, because it's how else would I pay him? He doesn't have a bank account. For me to get cash to him, I'd have to find someone else who's going to Saudi Arabia, give him the cash. He would have to exchange it. I take an L on the exchange fees. He then has to go pay him, bring the thobe back, get the change back to me, which I then would have to exchange back into pounds. I lose money as well. Like, imagine if there was a way I could literally just send money directly to him.
Brother, what you just said there is actually, it's really heartbreaking sometimes when I hear people say, oh, Bitcoin is worthless, because the only people who say that are, like you just said, people of privilege. They already got a bank account. They already got access to these financial services. And they don't realize that only 1 billion human beings of the 7 billion that exist actually have a bank account. That means the majority of mankind has no access to financial services.
Wow.
At all.
Just use
So
cash.
yeah,
You can all say, yeah, good. These who needs Bitcoin? Actually, quite a lot of people need Bitcoin. Brother, imagine this. Just an example. A farmer in some rural place in Africa can sell you his crop and receive payment across the internet. That's it. As long as he has a website to advertise his crop and he has a means to transport it to you, you can buy it off of him.
That also sounds like, Sheikh, that if it's permissible, and that is, it sounds like something that can really empower people. Like, wallahi, it's just.
Brother, you have no idea. You have no idea. Like I said,
I'm just still stuck. So you're telling me 33% of people in Nigeria are using Bitcoin, Abubakar?
No,
in
I'm
Nigeria,
not saying that. I'm saying 33% of the people that were surveyed. So you can't necessarily extrapolate that, but it's a good indication that.
So you're saying there's a lot of people in Nigeria on Bari. You just got rich.
No, seriously, Nigeria is, in terms of adoption,
Nigeria is the fastest growing country of adopting Bitcoin in the world.
Wow.
But Imran, what you need to remember is for them, it's not a commodity. It's not a store. But they're not using it as an investment, trying to make money from it. They're using it for their day-to-day trading, and that's what it initially was.
No, I know, but I'm saying, but the reality is that it has gone up in value.
Yeah.
So
and it's gone down, and
it's gone down as well. It's gone up, and it's gone down, it's gone sideways.
It's quite high right now.
But I don't want to get into the price talk, because what it is that some people get a bit Google-eyed about the price. Price is what it is, yeah? Price is important, by the way, don't get me wrong. Price is very important, because we won't be here if the price wasn't what it was. Let's be honest, yeah? No one would be here if the price was what it was, or what it is, if it wasn't what it was. But the back to the point is that the question here was, back to the point ahead, the premise was Bitcoin is useless, made out of nothing, it's worthless. On the contrary, it's actually very valuable. And it allows people to transact across borders without hindrance. I mean, one guy I met, he sold land in Pakistan, yeah? He had land in Pakistan, he sold it, so he had the cash. And he wanted to bring it to the UK. It took him a full month of jumping over hoops just to get his money to the UK.
And how much did he lose in fees, transactions, taxes, that?
Allah knows best that one as well.
I mean, look, they tell you what you can do or what you can't do with your money. They say you can't go on a plane with more than £10,000. If you send some money to your friend, they can just block your account. What's this
I remember when I was in Saudi. It's interesting actually. I remember when I was in Saudi. My first year actually, I was in Medina University. It's 2001, and I need some money, and I was over there. So my parents sent me some money via Western Union. Qasam billah. I was in the Western Union for over 4 hours, waiting for them to process this and process that and do this and do that. And then after that, they said, Ba'da salah. You know the usual, Ba'da salah. Wallahi, I'm not even joking. Bro.
After the prayer.
But Sheikh, doesn't Bitcoin sometimes take hours to show up in your account as well because of the fees and the times and the network?
Yeah, so what's interesting is that with regards to Bitcoin, what we should do is compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges. So if you want to look at how long a Bitcoin takes to confirm, Bitcoin confirms transactions way faster than your bank does. Let me explain why. If I send you money to your bank right now, if I open my phone and send money to your bank account right now, and you see it in your bank, have you received it?
In my account, yeah.
No, you haven't.
I haven't?
No, you haven't.
I haven't?
No, you haven't.
My Monzo
See,
check. It says Monzo says received. I get the
no,
little
no,
sign.
no, no.
No, he's saying
No,
even if it
no, no.
shows in your account, even
Yes,
if it
yes,
shows
yes,
Monzo,
yes,
you
yes.
can withdraw it.
It's not yours. So let me explain why. There's something called final settlement. Between banks, they have their own liabilities. How much I owe, how much you owe, and blah, 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 blah.
So when they send it to you, so when, for example, Mr. A sends money from Lloyd's account to HSBC. Someone from HSBC sends money to back to Lloyd's. And there's people doing money backwards and forwards. At the end of the day or the second day, they tally up how much have you received, how much have you received, and then they make final settlement. So yeah, you do see it in your account, but that's only a fiction. It's only showing you what you potentially have. It's not showing you what actually is really there. That's why, let me tell you the secret why. Let me tell you how you can reveal the secret. Let me show you how you can scratch the surface. Transfer £50,000 from one account to the other and try to withdraw it in cash. See what happens. They're not giving it to you. Because they are scared, if they give it to you in cash and you're gone, what happens if they haven't settled, if something goes wrong in between? They're going to wait for a time period until get final settlement, until they actually have it, then they'll give it to you. That's actually the real reason why they have limits on how much you send, because they're saying we're limiting how much you can send to mitigate risk. It's risk assessment. Okay, I allow you to send £40, £10, because if something goes wrong, it's only £10. But we're not going to allow £10,000. We're not going to allow £20,000. We're not going to allow £100,000.
Okay. Wow.
So don't be deceived by what shows on your screen and final settlement. Now, the same thing happens in Bitcoin. If you show me in your wallet now, and I send you Bitcoin from my phone right now, immediately it will show on your screen. But it will say pending. It will say pending. Up until the miners put into a blockchain, into a block. Only when it's in the block, that's when it's irreversible. That's when it's now finalized, yeah? But it at least shows you that it's there. That's kind of what happens in the bank. And basically that could be seconds. It could be confirmed in seconds, and it can be confirmed in 10 minutes. It depends. But in Bitcoin network is faster than any bank transfer on the planet. By the network itself. It's facts. This is how it is. What?
One proof as well.
Oh wow,
It's something.
It's something you can test yourself. At 11:30 at night, send money from one account to another. This is a test. Send money, £1,000, £2,000, £3,000. Send it 11:30 at night. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guarantee you see it turn up on your bank statement the next day. And the reason why that is because they don't do settlements on the weekend, brother. Everyone's. I mean, look at it. Just that one thing. How can you have a monetary system that's closed on the weekend? I mean, how dumb that is. Bitcoin has been up since 2009, 24/7, 360, no downtime. So yeah, people say, 10 minutes is because they're not really aware of the reality of what's happening. You've got to compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
Bitcoin is still faster than the current system we have now. And even at 10 minutes, I mean, it's not that big a deal for you to have final settlement that you can now walk away and go home. That's a minor. Next objection.
Shayukh, just on that point, you know what the first point, Mr. Which is it's made out of nothing, it's straight up thin air. Because in the podcast you did with Imran, you were quite, critical of inflation and how banks print money out of thin air. They create IOUs. Central banks do that all the time. The Federal Reserve buys it, so on and so forth. But is Bitcoin not the same? It's just being created out of thin air. So isn't it inflationary? More is coming in.
Yes
and no. Let me explain why. The objection to central banks making money out of thin air is the fact that there's no work involved in doing that. They didn't earn anything. Okay, let me give you an example. Since 1971, pay attention to the numbers here. 1971 was when the current dollar was born. 1971.
Now it's 2021. So that's now 50 years. We now have 50 years of the dollar.
48 of those 50 years, they printed X amount of dollars, 48 of those 50 years, they printed X amount of dollars. Last year alone, due to COVID, whatever, they printed 40% of all the dollars that exist in 1 year.
I saw that.
Absorb that.
40% of all the dollars that have ever been printed in the history of the dollar occurred only in last year by the press of a button. That means all of the work and effort that has been put by mankind throughout the whole of the United States for over 40 years, they printed it, or half of it at least, almost half of it, by pressing the button. And that's not enough. Not only did they print it, who did it go to? This is the issue. This is the whole issue of printing money is that, not the stock market, the whole issue of printing money is who gets to the money printer. It's not me and you, not the guy who needs the money. It's those who are closer to the printing press. Whereas gold, listen carefully, gold, who gets the gold? When you mine gold and make coins, who gets the gold? The guy who put effort into it, the laborer. The guy who actually made effort to get it, he earned it. That's why Bitcoin is superior to what we have now, because whoever gets Bitcoin earned it.
Sheikh, a lot of people will be thinking, but isn't currency right now that we have connected to gold? I can go to the bank and exchange it for gold?
No, that ended in 1971. Richard Nixon, it used to be somewhat connected to gold until other countries started to do what you just said, give their currency to get gold. And then Richard Nixon said, if they continue doing that, they're going to now have no more gold left. So they said, look, we're going to now detach the convertibility or stop or halt the convertibility of the dollar into gold temporarily. It's been now 50 years, but temporarily they're going to do that.
That's such a big myth, you know. People think that the money is based on gold, right? It's a big myth.
But that's just the dollar thing. Why does that
meeting-
affect everyone else? Why does that affect everyone else if it's only the dollar?
Because all currencies on the globe use, well, most currencies on the globe use the dollar as their basis. So, for example, if you go to the Saudi Riyal dollar price chart, you find that for decades it's been doing this. Because their value is pegged to the dollar. So the dollar goes up, it goes up. The dollar goes down, it goes down. Because it's actually just a version of a dollar, basically. It's pegged to the dollar. The pound isn't. The pound goes up and down relative to the dollar. But the Bangladeshi Dhakas, the Saudi Riyal, and probably lots of other countries, they're pegged side by side to the dollar. You can't trade dollars and make money because they're one-to-one pegged to each other.
So when the dollar was pegged to gold, in effect, all these currencies were pegged to gold. But as soon as he disconnected them, they all became disconnected from gold.
Yes. So that's what happened in 1944, I think it was 43. They had what's called the Bretton Woods Agreement, where the world currencies or world governments agreed to use the dollar as their peg, as their currency, because the dollar was based on the gold. America had at the time most of the gold on planet Earth. So they said, look, let's just use the American dollar because that American dollar is gold. Or as the saying goes, it's as good as gold. Another one of those sayings that are connected to currency. It's as good as gold. It was as good as gold until it wasn't. And then Nixon detached the two of them and made the dollar what it is on its face value.
And now they can print as much like before. In order to bring new currency into your economy, you'd have to acquire more gold by either, through whatever means. But now they can literally just print, and that's what they have been doing. As you mentioned, 40%. One thing that confuses me, because I remember in history back in school we studied about in Germany and hyperinflation, and they were using banknotes as toilet paper and wallpaper and this. If they printed 40% of all gold, should we not be in a state of hyperinflation right now? Because even in the UK, it's funny. I was just
yes and no. So basically,
quantitative easing is what they've been doing, which in essence is bringing new currency from nowhere into. But how does that not result in hyperinflation?
Yeah,
why are we not using pounds as toilet paper?
The thing is, it is, but not everywhere, not evenly. Let me explain why. When you print off new money, like how they do in the central banks, it's not the printing that's a problem, or it's not the printing that does anything. I mean, if they printed off another trillion right now and just left it in their bank vault, it means nothing. It's practically not there. It only does something when you put it into the market, when it's in circulation. So like I said to you, there's a thing called the Cantillon effect. The Cantillon effect basically means that when governments have permission or have the
power, those who are closest to the government get it first. And they get access to the money early. When they start spending it, it goes to the next guy and the next guy and the next guy. By the time it gets to us, it's already changed so many hands and the market price has already gone up. But now it's worth a lot less by that time it gets to us. When the first guy got it, it was worth
a lot. But then as it's going through circulation, it's now losing its value as it's being used. It's called a cantillon effect. So you just said, how comes we're not seeing inflation? We actually are. It's called asset inflation. House prices are going up for the last 20 years in a straight line, always going up. Why? Inflation. Stock market's been going up for the last couple of decades. Why? Inflation. You got to look at what goes up is the things that the rich man buys. Those things go up because the rich man is the first one who gets this money. He's the first one who gets the money, so those things go up. As for us, we don't get the money first, so it doesn't really affect the food we buy and that kind of stuff as much because by the time it gets to us, it's already been diluted. Does that make sense?
But we do feel the effects of inflation, like from the angle of like, I remember when that chocolate Freddo used to be, what was it, 5p? Kind of thing, and now it's gone up to like 20p, and crisps used to cost 20, 30p for a packet, and they're going up.
Bro, I remember I was alive when the bus ride was 20p.
And you used to get a printed ticket. There was no Oyster card. You used to get a printed
thing is,
paper.
What I like to do, what I like to do to get people to understand about inflation is to think about this. Your phone. I remember the iPhone back in 2008 used to be 500 quid for the iPhone. That was the iPhone 4, top of the range. Everyone said, oh, what kind of ridiculous price is that for a phone? 500 quid. Who's going to pay that for a phone? But it did. Now today you get 750 for an iPhone. 750, 700 for iPhone. That's a 50% rise in price in just a decade, 10 years.
Shayukh, iPhones you get for over 1,000.
No, that's the Pro one. I'm just the normal iPhone 12.
Okay.
You can at 700 or upwards. So I'm trying to bring it down. I could have used the 1,000 one. I could have said even worse, but I didn't want to have people say, oh, but what about? No, I'm just using the middle range one. 600 or 700. That's already 50% you lost in your value in just 10 years in our lifetimes. It wasn't Apple put the price up. It was inflation.
Wow. So is that you're saying all of that? Is that's kind of indicative that we've all lost, our wealth has all lost 50% value?
But the reason why I think now, people don't feel it is because
if someone had £100,000 in their account, you're telling me maybe it's not lost 50% value, but you're saying that 100,000K, what it could have got you 10 years ago, it can't get.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
I mean, ask your parents, ask your grandparents, how much was it for a house back in the day? In the 60s, you could have bought a whole house for 20k. 20k. That's it, 20k.
And if you kept 20k in your account from back then till now.
Understand this. Yeah, exactly. Go on, Baka.
I was saying that if you had kept 20k in your account from then till now, you still have 20k. That's why I think a lot of people they don't realize it, they don't feel it.
I think people think that 20k would have
money.
become. I think they think that 20k. When I speak to people, I think they think if you had 20k from the 60s, it would automatically today be worth like $1 million. But no, it would be 20k.
What's interesting? You know what's interesting? If you get house prices throughout the last 30 years, you see this happening with house prices in the UK or whatever, yeah? But if you actually chart the house prices to gold, you know what you see?
Oh, wow.
It's the same.
What's actually, see, you're thinking, oh, the house prices are going up, it's going higher. No. That's actually, the pound is going down. The pound is going down.
So you're telling me what we actually are seeing is just the inflation. And when that inflation bubble bursts,
that's when you get the like of 2008
are going to become less valuable. It's going to be less valuable than tissue paper.
Check this out. Just I shared on Telegram group a chart of the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones. This is like the Dow Jones, which is basically the industrial complex in America, their main companies. And I charted it against gold. The Dow Jones, the price of the Dow Jones in gold is the same in 1971 as it is today.
Oh, wow.
50 years on, in the price of gold, it's gone up and it's gone down, but it's actually the same price today as it was in 1971. But if you chart it against the dollar, it's this.
It's gone up.
So you're saying gold doesn't actually go up in price then? At all?
No, what I'm saying is that
no, I'm saying if you compare it to something which doesn't inflate, because the thing is, well, how does gold inflate? You can inflate gold by making more gold, by mining more gold, but the rate of doing that is not the same as dollars.
But my point is, when we see the gold price going up, is that the gold going up in value, or is that just inflation?
Yes and no. So, I mean, I don't want to get into the technicals of how the market works.
But
Sheikh,
yes,
you're dispelling
no.
some myths today.
Yeah, but keeping gold, for example, would be better than keeping money in your account because
I know gold
that would-
retains value. No, I know that, but I'm asking, you know how they see gold goes up?
See, the problem
Yeah.
the problem with gold at the moment is that gold, and like I said, I don't want to upset the gold bugs out there, but gold market is highly manipulated by central banks. But again, I don't want to get into
that's true. And silver as well, especially silver's even more
and silver as
manipulated.
well, yeah. But like I said, I don't want to get into a discussion about the gold market.
I was trying to
You know a lot, yeah, a lot about it. Can't lie.
I just want to highlight that basically the point is that when we see things going more and more expensive, don't think of it as these things are becoming more valuable. It's not the case. It's your money is becoming less valuable.
Less valuable. That you need
But is
more
that
of
the
it
same
now.
with Bitcoin, Sheikh? When we see Bitcoin going up in value, does that also mean
See,
that
Bitcoin is
Bitcoin's
different
not
because
how's that different?
The reason it's different is because the price of Bitcoin is a reflection of adoption. So the more people use Bitcoin, the more network value it has. It's like the internet. I mean, how much would you value the internet as a whole? That's like billions and trillions of money or
Quadrillions,
value
yeah.
contained in the network internet. But it wasn't always the case. In 1990s, it was like who would care about the internet? People saw potential, but it wasn't. But in terms of adoption curve, it's like this slowly and then suddenly. There's adoption curve. Same thing with TVs. I remember when I was young, we had those big CRT TVs with big back, massive back. How long would it take for everyone to start getting rid of the old TVs and getting the flat screen ones? And then getting rid of those and getting the LCD ones? There's adoption curve. It starts off slowly, then it happens.
Or iPhones, BlackBerry, like smartphones.
iPhones, Blackberries, yeah. So Bitcoin is a technology. The more people use it, the more value is contained within the network. So when we see, when people ask you, why is Bitcoin going up? The answer is very simple. Adoption. Listen, Kevin, let me explain to you one thing. If everyone on planet Earth, every single human being, man, woman, and child, use Bitcoin and nothing else, the Bitcoin price would do this.
It would just be stable.
Yeah, because why would you're not buying and selling, you're using it now.
It's like gold,
Yeah.
like gold, basically.
Exactly. Well, actually, more than gold, because gold, we're still mining gold.
Yeah, no. You
Bitcoin,
mean like
at some
similar
point,
to
will
like a
be.
pound?
Yeah, but Bitcoin will be effective, yeah, because you're not buying and selling it. It's just there.
You wouldn't be using it as a commodity. You're using it as a currency.
Yeah.
Sheikh, I have a question.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, there's just one thing that's just been in the back of my mind, and I just don't want to be I just don't want to do an injustice to the people watching. So I may kind of go off topic for a second, but Sheikh, we discussed at the beginning the concept of istishab, that Bitcoin is permissible because the default is everything in the dunya. There's not obviously religious affairs are haram and proven to be halal, but dunya affairs are proven to be halal and proven to be haram. But then there are some I don't know what the word is, softwares, institutions that are kind of connected to Bitcoin that do have a haram element. For example, the people who trade Bitcoin with leverage, that's a riba as well. So can you maybe just, I don't know, do you want to maybe do it later, or do you want to maybe do it?
You can earn interest. You can loan out your crypto and earn interest.
Yeah. I kind of mentioned that. Just because we're saying that, it's istishab and whatnot, and you get from that look, it's permissible. Not from me. I'm not
Even
saying
some coins are used specifically for gambling and stuff like that.
That's what I'm saying.
So what
people
you guys
need to understand that as in, it may be in its essence permissible, but then you need to know how to navigate it properly.
Yeah. So what you've gone and said here is you give me an opportunity to segue into what I wanted to establish as a foundation, which I thought to say initially. When assessing the validity or not of Bitcoin, we need to lever or direct towards Bitcoin objections that are unique to Bitcoin, not things that are present everywhere. And I'm going to use that now as my basis to answer your question. Can't you use Bitcoin for haram? And interesting you mentioned that, because that's actually inside one of the fatwa I read today from Egypt, actually. No, from Palestine, the Dar al-Ifta of Palestine, the body of fatwa in Palestine. They mentioned one of the reasons why Bitcoin is haram is because it's used for nefarious activities. It's used for
I've heard people
drugs,
say that. Terrorism,
and whatnot. Terrorism,
because it's untrackable.
Yeah. So, okay. I think it's totally unfair to mention something like that about Bitcoin as if it only happens in Bitcoin. forgetting the fact that more crime is being paid for with dollars than with any currency in the history probably of mankind. So if you're going to say something is haram because is used for nefarious activities, then you have to ban dollars then, because people use dollars for more than they use Bitcoin.
But what would be the ratio, Sheikh? As in the proximity of people who use dollar.
Yeah. So there's two things. The estimated volume of illegal activities transacted through money laundering alone, not just drug, but money laundering alone using fiat money, is an excess of 4 trillion a year.
4 trillion a year on fiat money through banks, by the way, not through banks. And Bitcoin, they estimate
4 trillion. That's not a joke. People need to understand that. You know, we say that easy.
Yeah, it's a big number. Whereas Bitcoin, they did research done recently, analyzing this claim that was made a few years back that because of nefarious activities messing up, and they discovered that less than 1% of all transactions on the Bitcoin network that occurs is through nefarious activities. Less than 1%. So to claim that Bitcoin is used for nefarious activities is not only misunderstanding, but it's actually an outright lie. Now, it's not necessarily the Shaykh's fault. It's a very common repeated lie that came back from a few years ago. It was made in some article. It's used for criminal activities, and it kind of spread. And now everyone just repeats criminal. But
I had some brothers told me that they know people who sold drugs with Bitcoin.
I remember there was a big thing about there was a website. What was it called?
Yeah.
People actually were just selling it was like the eBay for all sorts of illegal things.
But the thing is, again, you have to be fair here. We have to be fair if you're going to assess Bitcoin. You can not even if it was a majority. Even if it was a majority, you can.
Does that make it haram?
Anything. That's the point. You can use gold to do haram. A woman can go on and sell her services, if you get my gist, and accept gold for it. Does that mean gold is haram? I can go and give out a Ribaa loan based on a piece of gold and get interest on that, which is how Ribaa was in the beginning, through gold. That didn't make gold haram. Allah has made Ribaa haram and allowed transaction when they use gold. So we can't say the fact that by using this as a tool to do X, Y, Z is haram. No.
It's like Bitcoin,
gold,
a knife. Yeah.
Bitcoin, gold, silver, this is the key word, they are amoral. They have no morals. Not good or bad. It's a tool. It's like a knife, like you said, like a fork. I can use a fork to eat. I can use a fork to stab you in the eye. I can do lots of things. So Bitcoin is amoral. So yeah, that's the answer to that question.
But because your question was a bit different to mine, the one that you just asked, which was using Bitcoin to acquire and procure haram, things or haram services.
That's haram. Yeah, that's haram. Yeah, that's haram.
But my point is that people use Bitcoin and then they trade it with leverage. What's the hukum on that?
Same as anything. You leverage is something which exists on anything. You can do stocks and leverage, you can do gold and leverage, you can do anything in leverage. Leverage basically means trading on interest. You're just borrowing money on interest to trade with and you pay it back. That's what it means.
But that's haram.
I just really want to encourage people that if they do decide to go down the route of getting involved in Bitcoin or crypto generally or whatever have you, that doesn't mean that you just take it as a blanket. I can just go in.
You've got a free fast track pass. Yeah.
I think you need to refer back to guidance, Islamic guidance primarily. And I think that's why I just, Sheikh Muawiyah didn't ask me to do this, but I'm genuinely mentioning this because I believe it will be beneficial for you guys. He actually has a service where he gives advice and, Sheikh, how would you describe it? As in financial advice?
I mean, basically it was just we have a few services coming, but we started off with just basically phone consultations. So we had a few phone calls this weekend. Someone asked, for example, about altcoins, for example, and they want to know, is this altcoin halal? So I just gave him a little mini exercise and guidelines, how to identify a halal altcoin, how to identify a haram altcoin. Let's give him some basic pointers. It's a phone consultation. You can just give me a phone call.
Even on YouTube.
Pardon? Say again?
So on the YouTube Crypto History Review, there's a lot of videos, bite-sized videos on different topics.
Do we have a phone number, Sheikh, that we can just put on the screen here?
No, just on the website, Crypto Hash Review, you can book a call, make an appointment, and just have a phone call.
Can Abubakar, can we ask Aman to make this the intro of the video as well, just so because I don't want people to miss it.
Yeah,
And also just to let people know, this is it's a service, and obviously there's hard work behind it. So just you know, if you want to make some money, or you know, I don't know, maybe not make money but transfer into a different type of currency, or you know, whatever you want to do with Bitcoin.
I mean, even like there was some of the questions we had. One of the questions we had on the weekend was actually an interesting one. It was just a sister asking, how do I store my wealth? How can I just save up and just put it somewhere safe? It's nothing special. I just basically gave her guidelines how to store her wealth.
Would you give investment guidance? Like if someone wanted to call and say, hey, you know, what's it called? This new coin that everyone's talking about, Cardano. Yeah, so someone, I know because some of the brothers just been gassing it up to me, some of the young brothers.
No, so I don't do investment advice like that. No, because the reason being is because I mean, I may think something is a good investment opportunity, but that's everyone's got their own preference and stuff. What I do is if someone says to me, "Is it halal?" I highlight why it is or why it isn't. That's the best I can do. As for
we're not financial advisors. YouTube,
we're not
financial advisors.
So if someone says to me, "Look, I want to buy," for example, there's a coin called Potcoin, PLT, Potcoin. They specialize in allowing you to buy ganja, buy the marijuana. So if you ask me, can I get involved in it? I'm like, why would you want to do that, man? I mean,
wake up, man.
Okay, Shayukh, so then let me ask you a question. Yeah, you know this Dogecoin? It's called Dogecoin.
Dogecoin. Well, the apparently the correct pronunciation is Doggy Coin, but some call it Dogecoin. There you go.
So that coin, the Doggy Coin. So obviously this is a coin. If I've understood it correctly, people.
But Imran, we're digressing on a mad one here, yeah. But you're going to carry on.
Oh, sorry. Let's come.
No, as in. As I said, Imran, we're digressing on a mad thing. Like we've gone through one objection and we've been on the call for almost 2 hours.
I know a lot of young brothers are getting into this doggy coin, so that's why I just wanted to ask questions.
I mean, I'll be quick. I'll be quick on the Dogecoin. The Dogecoin is just a normal coin. It hasn't really had any traction. It was made as a joke. It's nothing really serious.
The joke, right? So there's no intifat. There's no manfaat.
No, I mean you can use it to transact. It still works. But the point is that it's a dead coin in terms of development, and people only really buy it because it has these moments where it goes up like that and goes down. So people want to think, goes out 10,000 blocks and I can make money. That's only, but there's no real. I wouldn't advise doing it basically. I mean that is financial advice. I would say just there's no point in doing it and trying to catch the pump. It's just not worth it. But do you have another objection?
Yeah. So the next one was regarding the creators of Bitcoin. So Satoshi Nakamoto is who we're told created Bitcoin. He's the one who wrote the original white paper for Bitcoin.
Yeah.
We don't know who she is. We don't know if it's more than one person. I mean, I know there are people that there was that was he Japanese, Chinese? There's a man who had the same name, but he's come out and said, no, it was not me. There's a guy called Charles Stephen Wright who has come out and said, I am Satoshi, but he's never actually proven it. Point being is that how can we trust something when we don't even know who created it? Like if I said to you that, I was sitting in McDonald's and someone came up to me and said, invest in me and I'll give you, more in return. And if I said that to you, would you invest? No, you probably wouldn't, right? So why would I invest in this when I've got no idea who it is that created it?
Perfect. Now, again, that is a perfect and valid objection towards the Bitcoin network if that mattered. Now, and the reason why it does matter in some aspects and doesn't here is because if someone looks at Bitcoin as it's just another form of what we've always had in the past, then anyone who comes to you some kind of system, some unknown system, and says, this is a great system, why would you trust that person? Who are these people? Because we, throughout human history, have built all our infrastructure around trust. Thiqah. How can I trust that this generation is sahih? Name us your men. We have isnad purely for that purpose of thiqah. I need to know who this person is before I can accept this hadith. That's the fundamental basis of al-Islam. So now we have this currency that you want to try and take over the world with, and we have no idea who this guy is. But name us your men. What's the isnad? Is he thiqah? Is he even Muslim? How do we even know? That's a valid question. Except here, because Bitcoin is a system that is open source, can view the code based on mathematical principles. So, for example, Pythagoras, obviously the guy who made Pythagoras' theorem, who was he? Was he righteous? Was he good to his wife? Or, I mean, was he even good at maths? I mean, the issue here is it doesn't matter who he was or what he was, because we can actually look at what he said and test it ourselves.
Does Pythagoras' theorem actually work as a mathematical tool?
At all. How about Euclid? Euclid is a better one, because Euclid actually there's this concept called Euclidean geometry. In mathematics, there's a guy called Euclid who has some models of geometry which is used to this day. No one actually knows who Euclid is. It's not a non-fact who he is. If that was even his name. But no one cares because the geometry is sound. So Bitcoin is a network built on mathematical realities that anyone can just look at the code and see it for themselves. So who Satoshi is irrelevant.
If you can see the code. Now, on the flip side, let's have a look at where that thing would be an issue. Okay, my phone, yeah, here's my iPhone, yeah. If I said to you, brother, I've got this new iOS. At the moment, it's iOS 14, but I got iOS Muawiyah, yeah. It's a new iOS. It has better apps. It has better. It can do everything better than Apple does, yeah. Who made it? Don't worry about that. Just install it on your phone. Would you do that? You wouldn't.
No, because I think it's a scam or a hack or some sort of
who the heck is that?
Virus software. Yeah.
But if I said here is the source code, you can install it. You can look at the code yourself. You can even change it yourself. You can even tweak it yourself, and you can use it. Then why would you not take it? I mean, if you knew what he was doing, I'm saying, why would you not take the code and benefit from the code? Because it's right there in front of you. Something like this one. I'll never give you. Mm-hmm.
I say this source code being open to everyone,
based on being able
to tweak it and whatnot. What people think? Well, what if people tamper with it?
Yes. So I'll come to that point. I'll come to the point in a second. So imagine another example I gave you earlier on about accounts. Remember I said to you about your accounts. You made this whole spreadsheet.
Yeah.
You spent 2 weeks on that, yeah? Now imagine I said to you, brother, give that to me, please, so I can use it. I said, cool. You gave it to me. But one condition. What's that? I'm going to lock all the formulae, so you can't see how I'm working anything out. I'll be a mug to take that that spreadsheet. And I don't know who you are. I'm not trusting you. Because I know you and I trust your skills, I say, okay, ma'alish, I get the gist. I trust him. But if it's something randomly found on the internet, why would I trust that it's going to do my accounts, not mess things up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if I could download a spreadsheet from the internet from some random unknown person and I can look at the formula, then who he is doesn't matter, does it?
No, because it works.
Because it works. So that's the answer to that question. Who Satoshi is doesn't matter. But here's the joke, by the way. Remember I said to you about being fair. Let's look at the flip side. Who prints off the dollars? Who prints off the pounds? Who are they?
Federal Reserve.
Yeah, and they're known shayateen. Let alone Satoshi, who's unknown.
Okay.
Bro, you're trusting America with your money. And you know what America does. And you're telling me you don't know about Satoshi? Come on, be fair. Be fair, man. Be fair. And surely an unknown is not worse than someone who is known shaitan.
But Sheikh, can't Satoshi just, shut down Bitcoin? Can he just shut down website? Or can he just, decide, okay, you know what, I'm changing the cap from 21 million to 50 million?
So your question ties into what Imran just asked us now. You asked about, he said, can't someone just change it? Yeah? Even I think Imran said, can't someone just tamper with it? And that's another beauty of Bitcoin. Now, Bitcoin is a decentralized network. It means it's a network that occurs without any central person involved. It's not like me, I control it, and what I say goes. Basically, anyone, anywhere on planet Earth can download the Bitcoin software and run the software and be part of the network. Anyone can do that. There's nothing to stop them from doing that. And the reason why I can't shut it down is because in order to shut down the Bitcoin network, you need to find everyone who's part of the network and shut them down. But we don't know who they are. or where they are. It's impossible to actually do that because it's not centralized. However, could I shut down Apple? Of course you can. Apple, we know where Apple exists. Apple has an address, has a postcode. The government can say, we don't like you, Tim Cook. We're going to shut you down. And it's shut down. Actually, we saw that the other day. America shut down Huawei. They said you can't sell your phones in America anymore. Shut them down.
Yeah.
So when you have centralized authorities or centralized bodies that exist in some place, they can be shut down. You just find them and shut them down. If they say no, you just send the heavies and they break them legs and that's it, they're shut down. But with Bitcoin, there is no one to shut down. Even if the whole of Asia was to disappear off the face of the earth, Bitcoin still exists. You can't actually shut down Bitcoin. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So basically, again, I agree. If Bitcoin was a thing that someone could just flick a switch and turn it all off, that's a useless network. That's stupid. Why would you put your money in that? I agree with the Sheikh who said that. But that's not how Bitcoin works. You can't just flick a switch and turn it off.
But Sheikh, wasn't there a situation with, I think it was with Ethereum, if I'm not mistaken, where there was a big hack and they actually went and they reversed the blockchain. They actually deleted transactions. We say, no one can do that. In Ethereum, because of the hack, I think because the majority of stakeholders actually agreed, you know what? I think it was DAI, right? There was an ICO or something like that.
It was the DAO hack here. It's called a DAO hack here.
And because of that, what they ended up doing is they reversed it. And now there's Ethereum Classic, which is actually the original one. And now they changed it now. And they actually removed that. So there is someone that's got a level of control. Does that not apply to Bitcoin?
No, it doesn't, for one reason. But also number two, your example was actually an interesting one because not actually true. Let me explain why. So yeah, the DAO hack. So the first thing is, I'm not here to wave the flag of Ethereum. That's its own thing on itself. That's why I said to you specifically, I want to talk about Bitcoin specifically because Bitcoin has features that makes Bitcoin different from other things. So that's the first thing. Second thing, with the DAO hack, for those who don't know, there was one person or company who made a smart contract on the Ethereum network. And there was a bug in their contract. It wasn't to do with Ethereum, it's to do with their particular contract. So someone was able to take the funds and steal it from that contract, yeah? So when that happened, a lot of people lost money. So Vitalik Buterin and other people who made Ethereum decided to roll back the blockchain to undo that hack. So they basically recovered and saved those funds that were stolen. That was basically the basis of that. Now, the reason I say it's not true what you said there is because although they rolled back their blockchain, that blockchain never stopped. It continued in what you said in Ethereum Classic. So it never actually got rolled back. Ethereum existed. The hack happened. They wanted to change it. Some did. So they branched off. But the original chain still continued. So it wasn't actually changed in the original code. Makes sense? Yeah, Ethereum is a fork. Ethereum is a branch and a break off of it. And I also want to do that. But the actual original code and original blockchain
still there.
Wasn't actually changed. It's still there, wasn't actually changed. That's the first thing. Second thing is, Bitcoin is unique in the sense that it actually has reached a level of decentralization where something like that can't happen. Let me explain why. Ethereum was very young, and effectively, although it tried to be decentralized, as you saw already, it was centralized because people got together and decided, and it happened. Bitcoin, the founder of Bitcoin, Satoshi Nakamoto, doesn't exist. He's dead as far as we know. He disappeared over a decade ago. We never heard from him since. Yeah? And the whole Bitcoin network has reached a level of decentralization whereby no one person can actually change the network without everyone agreeing. Does that make sense?
So you need the consent of everyone on the network, the miners, the users, the software developers.
Exactly. Everyone has to, not just software developers. Me and you even. I mean, for example,
the users,
of Bitcoin. If you actually wanted to, for example, if you we want to change Bitcoin. They all saying, we just change Bitcoin. If you didn't want to agree to that, you can run your own node and just don't change. And others will probably do the same as you. Because remember, you have to remember what gives Bitcoin its value. What gives Bitcoin its value is that it's decentralized. It makes no sense for those who value Bitcoin for that purpose to now undo that value. So back to the point is that can change happen? Back to the question: can Bitcoin's network be updated and changed? Yes, it can. Does it happen? Yes, it does. How does it happen? It only happens with consensus, i.e. with everyone on the network, including me and you, agreeing to it. So fundamental things like example, the limit of 21 million, for that to change, everyone will have to agree to that. Does that make sense?
Otherwise, what would end up happening is a fork would be created like Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV, all these other ones.
See, the thing is,
most people don't.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, anyone can make a fork. Me and you right now, we can release a video and show you how you can make your own Bitcoin network. We can make our own fork right now. But who's going to listen to that? That's the thing. Who's going to follow that fork? That's the issue. Isn't it the issue? This is what
everyone has to do it, basically. Yeah.
This is what's unique about Bitcoin. That Bitcoin has to have you to agree in its value, and because most people do agree on Bitcoin and not on anything else, that's what gives it its value. It took years to get to that level. We're now got to the level where it's almost irreversible to change it. So that's effectively why things like that it's just not feasible.
Shayukh, how is mining Bitcoin and creating new different to what bankers do by printing off new money?
Yes. So what I mentioned to you before, I kind of hinted to the answer to that one before when I said to you that when banks print money, they do so with no effort, number one. Also, they do so on Ribaa, number two. Whereas mining, you do so by doing a service. You're actually doing something for the network. You're helping transactions go into the blockchain. And you get paid for your effort. So to say that they are the same doesn't make sense. Also, there's one element of our current system of money people don't realize. I'm going to only spend 2 seconds on this. Is that most of the money we have in circulation actually doesn't come from the central bank, by the way. It comes from the high street bank. Every time you give out a mortgage, you get a student loan, you get this kind of loan. All these loans that you get from the bank, that's also money being created. More money is actually created from the high street bank than from central bank. So when all that time he was talking in the past about money being printed by the government, that's actually only M1 money. There's actually M2 money, which is basically the money through bank deposits. Every time you put money into the bank, or your money you get loans from the bank, that's actually more money being created on top of money. So that's the difference between the bankers. The bankers, they create money through loans, whereas Bitcoin is mined through work. That's the main difference.
But doesn't it use a lot of electricity? Isn't it harmful for the environment? You're exerting so much electricity, and isn't electricity all just wasted now?
See, the thing is, again, the waste of electricity, or waste of anything really, I'm sure we can all admit at some level is subjective. I could say to you right now, I mean, I'm sure there are many people saying that me and you are wasting our time here right now. But I mean, I'm sure others will say, no, you're not wasting your time. This is useful information. So waste is subjective. I don't think there is any absolute way of defining a waste of electricity except turning a light on in a room that no one's in. Maybe that's an example of waste of electricity. But mining Bitcoin is doing something. You're providing.
No, but even then, Shayukh, someone could turn around and say, "I do that to put off burglars." They'll see that the light's on. They'll think someone's home and they won't come in. So they might turn around and say, "For me, I justify that."
There you go. So you justify it. Turn a light on when no one's in there. So it's subjective. And for me to say to a miner, "You're wasting your time mining Bitcoin," he would look at you and laugh and say, "You can say that much as I'm making money." Literally making money.
Yeah. But Shayukh, isn't that another key thing that, because obviously we talk about it being decentralized, but even the miners, because obviously, I know back in the day you could just get any old graphics card, plug it into your computer, and you can start mining, and it would be worthwhile. Now, because it's getting so complex, and we're getting closer and closer towards the end of the mining process, and all the halvings that are happening, it's increasingly, it's almost impossible now for anyone to, on their own computer at home, start mining Bitcoin. The amount of Bitcoin you would get would be less than the amount of electricity you spend trying to, get it. So isn't that another issue where these mining pools, there's only a few of them, and don't they then have a lot of power on the network?
No, because the thing is, what you just described there is what needs to be understood here is what actually the miners are doing. What are the miners doing? The miners only have one job, one single job. Take all of the transactions that are being broadcasted on the network, put into a block, and then find that unique number, the hash number, to make that block hold, lock that block information. Once they've done that, that's it. Their job's done. They don't do anything else beyond take transactions, find a number, and that's it, done. In terms of control, if you want to put it that way, of the network, actually is in the hands of the nodes, not the miners. So there's another part which people don't hear about, the nodes. Anyone could be a node. You could be a node. I could be a node. Anyone could be a node. What's a node? A node is just one guy who has on his computer a copy of the whole blockchain. That's what it is. And anyone who wants to, for example, he wants to find out, has this transaction occurred? He just goes to his computer and asks his software, has the transaction take place? That software looks at the database. Yeah, it happened. That's it. So Bitcoin is secured by the nodes, not the miners. All the miners do is give to the nodes the latest block. That's it. So the miners actually have no control of the network. They can't do anything other than find numbers. That's it.
No,
They don't do anything.
Makes sense.
I mean, think about it. Just ask yourself a question. Okay, if let's assume that the miners have all the control. What can they do with that? What control do they have that they can do it? What can they do? See, the thing is, I'm saying people repeat these slogans, but don't actually think what I'm actually saying. Okay, miners have all the control. What do they do? What do they do?
Makes sense.
I mean, are they going to harm me? Are they going to send heavies to my house? What do they do? All miners do is take transactions, put into a block, find the number, and then broadcast it. That's it. Miners get paid by taking your transaction, put it into a block. Every time you transact money, you send money to a blockchain, you give a little tiny fee to the miner. They get all these fees together and get paid. Why would a miner not take your money? His job is to make money. So he's going to take your transaction and process it. Done. So why would he? What incentive? What can the miner do? There's nothing he can do. So when you say you control, it means nothing. It's a meaningless statement.
No, that makes sense. What about the issue of, even some Shaykh mentioned is that Bitcoin, it's not backed by any government. It's not, there's no, you're mentioning it being ungoverned as a positive thing. Some people say, no, that's a negative thing, that, it's scary. There's no security with it. It's, it's not safe. In order for you to, it's based on supply and demand. If people want it, there's a craze about it, it's not spreading, people start buying it, the value goes up. People start selling it, the value goes down, and how is that something which is, something which you're happy to put your money into? Because,
again, fairness. Like I said, as a basis of all these objections, when you have an objection against Bitcoin, be fair about your objection. If you're going to say Bitcoin is not money because it's not backed by a government, then what do you say about gold and silver? Is that backed by government? How does the government back gold and silver? It doesn't. Did the Messenger of Allah back gold and silver, or they just use it? Did the Sahaba back gold and silver, or they just used it? There's no this idea of backing. It's only a recent phenomenon because of fiat money. This idea of backing makes no sense. Yes, historically things have been organized based on those who had authority, but that doesn't mean it's not money. I think there's even a currency in Brixton. You use it, Google it. That's actually Google. You Google the Brixton pound. There's actually a currency, a real currency in circulation in Brixton area that was made by the locals. It's actually real money. They actually can buy stuff with it in Brixton. No government backing, but it's a currency. So the idea that a government must back it, no, I get it. Don't get me wrong. I do understand the necessity of having a transparent body that you can trust. Who else would you trust other than the government, the Khalifa, the Amir al-Mu'mineen? I get that. But Bitcoin is a trustless system. It's a system that doesn't require you to trust anyone. That's the whole point. So the fact that it's not backed by a government is irrelevant. If you was to get a government involved, that would wreck it. Like the governments have wrecked currencies throughout history anyway. But like I said, I mentioned to you a minute ago about the nodes. For example, imagine you, Abu Bakr, you wanted to get involved in Bitcoin, but you don't trust these guys on the network. You don't trust anyone on the internet. Yeah, you can download the software, download the whole blockchain onto your computer, and you yourself can verify your own transactions. You don't trust anyone. You just verify yourself. That's the power you have. Yeah. You can send money to your friend, or your friend can send money to you, and you can check have you received it on your own computer. Don't have to ask anyone else. I don't have to trust you. I can think you're a liar. I can think you're a kadhab. But if you give me a transaction number, I mean, imagine you're a known thief and a liar and a stinge and a Scrooge and everything, all the bad words. You're known for that. And you said to me, brother, I'll buy this thing off you. I want to buy a book off of you. Cool. Send me the money. Here's my Bitcoin address. Cool. I've sent it. Send me the transaction number. You sent me the transaction number. I can check on my own computer. Have you sent the money? I don't have to ask you and trust you. I just check myself. That's the beauty of Bitcoin. It's a trustless system. I don't need to trust the government or the bank or anyone. I just trust myself.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. But Sheikh, what about some people say that gold and silver are legislated by the Sharia to be used as currency, and nothing other than gold and silver should be used. And if I'm not mistaken, they use the fact that dinar and dirham are actually mentioned by name in the Quran. So how do you respond to that we should be using gold and silver?
So number one, implicit evidence is not explicit evidence. Meaning, the fact that the Quran used the word dinar and dirham doesn't mean you must use dinar and dirham. Because we have also that Allah mentioned in Surah Yusuf, that Yusuf was sold bi darahim bakhsin, by small few darahim. But we also know that the dirham, the coin itself called the dirham, never existed at the time of Yusuf. At the time of Yusuf, they actually never even had coins. But Allah still called it dirham because it was silver. So the use of a word doesn't mean you must use that thing. It's just an expression of currency. What else would Allah call it? Allah's not going to use the word dollar, is he? Because there was no dollars at the time. Allah spoke to the people in a language that they understood. Dinar and dirham is the first word they used at the time. So to say that we must still use dinar and dirham, by the way, dinar and dirham is not even from the Arab lands, it's from the Romans and from the Greeks. So are you telling me that we have to use Roman and Greek currency to transact? No, it's just something that was used at the time to transact. But at the same time, we find in the Sharia that they use other things to transact, other than gold and silver, like wheat, like burr, sha'ir, barley, and other kinds. They use other things to transact. Even Bilal. We have the famous hadith of Ribaa where Bilal exchanged 1 sa' of bad dates for 2 sa', also 2 sa's of bad dates for 1 sa' of good dates. He made a transaction without the use of dinar or dirham. So, yeah, so that it's a claim, and I would say how to burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin. If you actually have evidence where Allah said you must use gold and silver, that's dalil. But the sheer mention of gold and silver is not dalil that you have to only use that.
Sheikh, just to wrap up now, one thing I want to ask you is, so for example, if I type in right now Bitcoin price, and it comes up with £34,655.87, yeah, who decides that? How is that number appearing on here? Is there a person sitting there that's typing in, okay, this is the price right now, okay, this is the price tomorrow, this is the price, like someone updating it themselves? Is it an algorithm? If it's an algorithm, who decided what the algorithm should be? Like, how is value, and this same thing for stocks and stuff like that, like you see a value there, how do you know that value
Perfect.
is that value?
So this is where I mentioned earlier on, unfortunately, that we have, and this is, I mean, I'm trying to say this in the nicest way possible, but this is unfortunate reality of some of the things that have been said against Bitcoin demonstrates a lack of understanding of economics and how markets actually work. The Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, was approached by the Sahaba because they complained that the prices of things was going up. So they said, "Oh, Messenger of Allah, can you set the prices for us, please? Because the prices are getting higher and higher and higher." And he replied by saying, "Verily, Allah is the one who sets the prices. Allah is the one who sets the prices." This laid the foundation and the premise that the markets are to be uninterrupted, uninterfered in, and left as they are. Prices of things are determined by supply and demand. If there's limited supply and high demand, the price adjusts to reflect that. If there's a lot of supply and little demand, the price adjusts to reflect that. That applies to everything, including gold and silver. So even, for example, the price of gold right now, it was going up. It's simply because more people were buying than those were selling. So the price reflected that imbalance in the market. And when price of gold starts going down, it's because there are more people selling than there are buying, emphasizing that there's that to get to that equilibrium in that market. Price does this and it does this to reflect what's happening in the market. If you ignore the momentary ups and downs and look at price over a long period of time, you find that you get some level of equilibrium based on circumstances and supply and demand. So why is Bitcoin going up right now? Because at the moment, right now, or last year I should say, we had what's called the halvening, which basically means that the supply of Bitcoin coming into the market was halved. There used to be every 10 minutes, 12 Bitcoins was being released. Every 12 minutes, 12 Bitcoin. And so all of a sudden, it got down to 6. It halved. Which means that now there's literally half the amount of Bitcoin coming into the market than used to be. So because if the demand just remained the same, but then the supply has automatically just dropped by half, then it has to come a point where it hasn't reached a balance again. And therefore the price needs to match the balance of the supply. That's why you find the price is going to go up for a bit. Probably after the next 9 months, it's going to come down a bit and it comes to equilibrium before the next halvening, and then it's going to do the same thing again. It's just supply and demand. So the question is, and this is what I think is really unfair about what people say about Bitcoin's price, is that they seem to forget that the same thing happens to Bitcoin happens to everything else. They talk as if yeah, but okay, look, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example how unfair this claim is. People say, oh, how can Bitcoin be money? Bitcoin does this, it does this, it does this, it does this, it does all this madness. Yeah, it's too volatile. Okay. Has anyone looked at the Venezuelan bolivar and how that was, how that's been, or the Argentinian peso, how that's been, or Zimbabwean dollar? Has anyone looked at those currencies, or even Turkish lira? 3-4 years ago, you used to be able to get 2 liras for a pound. Now it's 9, near to 10.
No one can tell me.
It's like doubled. 100 rupees used to be a pound. Now it's over 200.
Well, okay, so just look at that one then. Going from 1 to now 200. Are we now going to start saying, oh, price is too volatile and blah, blah? It happens in all currencies. The joke is, funny enough, Bitcoin, as volatile as it is, statistically, it's actually less volatile than many country currencies. But you don't hear any ulama say that those currencies are not currency, or that using their currency is haram. I've never heard any alim say that using the Venezuelan currency is haram, or using the Turkish lira is haram. Actually, I have a fatwa from the Turkish ulama saying Bitcoin is haram because it's volatile, which is the irony. It's because Turkish lira is actually more volatile than Bitcoin, in the sense of it's losing its value way more than Bitcoin. I mean, if you just look at the price of Bitcoin compared to lira, Bitcoin's done this and lira's done this. So if anything is going to be haram, why are these other currencies who are worse in performance than Bitcoin not haram? Be fair. Be fair. If you're going to say Bitcoin is haram, do it for reasons that is actually unique to Bitcoin and not in the current system. Because if it's in both systems, then why are you having different fatwa? One being halal, one being haram. I've seen it myself. I've seen ulama say that paper money by XYZ fatwa and Lajna have agreed that it's a halal to use, but Bitcoin is not. Why? Give me a reason why Bitcoin is different.
Along, but I think that was pretty comprehensive. I've run out of objections to throw at you.
One more. I've got one objection. This one comes up quite a lot, and it really gets on my nerves. Bitcoin is anonymous. Who uses it? We don't know who uses it. How can we tell what they're doing? They're using it for all the kind of stuff. You can use that with cash or gold. If I give you gold, it's anonymous. It's actually more anonymous than Bitcoin. Again, any objection you find against Bitcoin, be fair. Does that exist also with fiat currency or your current money already? If it does exist there, then why bring it up? It doesn't make sense. And I think the most upsetting thing I've heard so far is that someone said Bitcoin is haram because it harms central banks. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Central banks regulate interest. Central banks produce Ribaa. Ribaa exists in the country on a national scale because of central banks. And to say Bitcoin is haram because it harms that system makes no sense to me. I haven't seen a single fatwa saying Bitcoin is haram, except that it only helps the riba. It doesn't harm it. It doesn't stop it. It actually helps institutionalize the riba even further than what it is. It makes no sense to me.
But anyway, I think we've had enough time in chatting
So
about
would
this
you
one.
go as far to say that Bitcoin is more halal than the fiat currency that we use today?
100%.
110%. If anyone says Bitcoin is haram, I'll say fiat is more than that. Because it is. Bro, it is. It only exists because of riba. Literally, go on YouTube and search printing money, how money is made, and just look. They don't even hide it. They literally issue money through loans, interest-bearing loans. Have you heard of the word national debt?
National debt.
National debt is increasing.
Yeah, national debt basically means when the government gets money, it's through printing money, i.e. through issuing a loan. So they issue a loan to the central bank, because remember the central bank is separate. Central bank's actually not a government body, it's a private company. So central bank, so the Bank of England is private, it's owned by people. So the government will issue a interest-bearing loan, and then it will get back freshly printed money in exchange. So that money that they got is riba. It's actually from a riba loan. It only exists because of that loan.
That's what I was watching. This like it was an infographic, and it was basically just showing how it was more about the US than the UK, but it was just like how the Federal Reserve will buy a government bond from the government, give them the money. They'll then use the IOU. The Federal Reserve will then sell that to other countries. Other countries will invest in the dollar, and then when it comes time for the government to pay back that, they don't have the money. So what do? They get another one from the Federal Reserve, and that's why since you mentioned that they cut off the 1971 connection to gold, the national debt has never reduced. It's only ever increased, and every single year it increases even more and more and more. And as you mentioned in your podcast with Imran, the issue of inflation. You holding £10,000 in your account when there's $1 million in circulation, you got a 10 to a million ratio of value. If they print off another million, you've now got a 10,000 to 2 million ratio. You don't realize it because you've still got £10,000 in your account. You think, I'm saving up. When I retire, I'm gonna have £10,000, or you might even think I'm gonna have $1 million. But when time comes for you to retire, what you can do with $1 million then is gonna be nothing.
Bruv, I remember when I was young, a millionaire actually meant something. Now a millionaire is like he's got a bit more, but you have to be a billionaire now to be something real. I mean, just one last final point on this issue, because there's another nuanced point about money. Historically speaking, in the past, in order to counterfeit money, because by the way, that's interesting, because counterfeiting money existed at the time of Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You could also counterfeit money. There was many narrations where they would look at the zakah and they would remove these counterfeit coins from the zakah. So counterfeiting existed at the time. In order to counterfeit money, you could only counterfeit the actual coin you had. So imagine I've got 10 dinar in my wallet, and then the government just counterfeited another 10 dinar. So they mixed some copper into the gold and made another 10 dinar. So now you got the mixed version, and I got my pure version. Now the newly printed or newly minted coins that has less quality of gold in it doesn't affect my one, because my one is still pure gold.
Pure gold.
So in essence, people will see, this is the watered down version. I'll give you half. I'll take more of that from my product because it's less.
This is the
pure
pure
one.
one.
Difference between the two.
Yeah, because of the color and what you can tell by the color. It doesn't say the same color. So point is, in the past, when the governments counterfeited money, they can only counterfeit new money. They can't counterfeit old money. Hence why what might happen is that they might say, look, the coin that has got the Caesar's head on it is worth more than the coin that has the new after one, because they will say it over the years. Until we had paper money. And then what paper money did now, it allowed for the government to not only counterfeit new money, but also take value from your money at the same time. Does it make sense? It's not the case now that because I've got my money here, it is not affected by that money. No, when you print off more money over here, you're affecting the whole thing.
It's almost like a hidden tax, isn't it? That they're taking purchasing power value away from you without actually taking, an amount of money away from you.
So that's actually interesting, because tax basically means I'm going to go to your bank account, I'm going to reach in, I'm going to take money out. And you realize that and you feel it straight away. But if governments want to do it a stealth way, they can say, no, don't worry, we'll just issue some new bonds and new money and whatnot get printed off. As far as you're concerned, you still have your money. But you haven't realized that the purchasing power, the value that how money have is now being siphoned off just a little bit. A little bit's losing a little bit of money, a little bit of value. You just don't see it. So yeah, it is a kind of hidden tax. Some call it theft. Call it what you like. But it's counterfeiting money. You literally counterfeiting money. Banks literally have permission to counterfeit money. If you did it, you go to jail. If a bank does it, they get paid. They get interest payment for that. That's basically the system we live in.
SubhanAllah. SubhanAllah. Wow. I mean, personally, I think that's very, very eye-opening. I myself, as I mentioned to you as well, I was a bit on the fence. I was always a bit skeptical, So, I read Fatawa and same thing with me was I never actually looked into what it is. I told myself, what is it? It's just some fake fancy thing someone just made up on a computer, and it's just, it can't be value. I'm quite a skeptic. So I was like, yeah, you know what? When I actually researched it and looked into it, that's when I was kicking myself saying, this is actually so smart. Like blockchain technology, the technology behind it is just so revolutionary. And I think that without a shadow of a doubt, it is going to be the future. The only concern that I have though then is you, like you mentioned, these central banks, and they've got a lot of power because they've got a lot of money. They're going to do something about it, are they not? They have to. They can't let this run. Why they can't let poor, the commoners start to get power and financial wealth. So is it not feasible that they could turn around and just ban it, or place a heavy tax on it, or do something to try and limit the amount of freedom and power you have with it?
They're doing it already, but the issue is how effective would that be? So let me give you an example. There's two things. Let me be the cynic for a change. Let me be the one who sees things as negative. How can banks take over the network? Let me tell you how. First thing they can do is that they can depend upon people's laziness. So rather than you hold your own Bitcoin in your own wallet, they'll say to you, look, you might lose your Bitcoin. You might lose your keys. Leave it with us. We look after it for you. We look after your fiat money.
You might as well look after your Bitcoin as well. So as soon as banks start getting
like
involved,
a crypto bank, Bitcoin bank.
It already happens. It's happening right now. Some banks in America have already got permission to start holding Bitcoin. People already do it with exchanges. How many people have Bitcoin? Do they have it on their wallet, or is it on the exchange? So it can already happen that people are just lazy, just leave it with them if they wanted to. But the difference is that at a whim we could withdraw it. That's number one. We can withdraw it, and essentially there's actually a day in January. It's called the I think you're your own bank day or something. I can't remember what it is, but basically there's a movement where everyone tries to get everyone to withdraw all their Bitcoin into the wallet at least once throughout the year. At least keep possession of it and prove that it's yours. Prove that you own it, just to encourage people to take ownership of their own stuff.
But that's one way that you can think of how banks can get back in and survive this transition, because it won't be here forever. Is basically they'll become like a crypto bank. So you hold their crypto and they do the things for you on your behalf. That's one way of doing it. Can they stop it? I believe it would be more profitable for a bank to just adopt it. Why fight the wave? I mean, if you can make money off of it, why not just do that instead of saying trying to ban it? I mean, banks just want to make money at the end of the day. If they can make money off of that, they'll just do that instead. At the moment, they're making a killing
on the current system. Eventually, they might not make a killing. Maybe more and more people would start taking the money out of the banks and put it into Bitcoin, and the banks will start having less and less money. And the banks think, some banks already do this thing. They're saying, we can make a little bit extra cash as long as we hold some Bitcoin or we do some services. So I think those banks that will survive are the ones that will adopt it, like PayPal. Let's be frank. PayPal is a bank. PayPal, they've already jumped on the bandwagon. And other institutions, they'll start jumping on the bandwagon and say, let's hold custodial Bitcoin. And then they'll start doing things like we give you loans on Bitcoin and that kind of stuff on Bitcoin and blah. They'll start doing other stuff. So that's one thing.
And as for government,
they're going to corrupt it basically. Like right now, is like in its essence, the idea, the theology behind it is pure, as in like it works, it makes sense. But obviously, they're going to find a way to.
Yes and no. So the thing is, the problem with Bitcoin, why Bitcoin has inherently in its code, inherently in its system, I would say almost like a fail-safe to stop like corruption. Let me explain why. With fiat currency, because we hold our money in the banks can always issue more money in loans that actually exists. Yeah? But banks have a big risk to give out Bitcoin. I mean, for example, if a bank gives you a Bitcoin as a loan, that means they no longer have it, because I can't give you Bitcoin and still have it.
There's no double spend.
You can't, no double spend. With fiat, you can do that. Banks have your money and they give someone else at the same time. So fiat money inherently can do this splitting, whereby I've loaned it out to someone else, but I also have it. With Bitcoin, on the other hand, that's more limited because it's only 21 million. You can only do that so much before it will not happen, not work. Does it make sense? So I reckon the banks will try, and they will definitely do some level of interest. But even the current systems that you have right now, even the current organizations that offer services to earn interest on your Bitcoin, they actually have to use another coin or use fiat to do that. So what they do, they'll take a Bitcoin and they'll issue these pounds. Because you can do that with pounds. You can't give out all money in pounds and they hold the Bitcoin and stuff. But what they can't do is give out Bitcoin loans, because they're not given what they have. They can't do that. They want to have the Bitcoin. They don't want to give it out and lose it. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the hindrances that will happen. So I mean, I do believe that banks will just get on board, some of them, and they will adopt it at some point. And some of the old thing will come involved, but I think it'll be a lot less because now there's less excuse. Why does Auntie G or Uncle Tom need to put his money in the bank when he can just have it in his wallet in his own house? Why does he have to put it somewhere else? And what you would find actually is that you'll start moving towards a more wadi'a system than a qard system. At the moment, when you give your money to the bank, it's a loan. But with custodials, it's a qard. I mean, it's a wadi'a. They have it, but they can't use it. It's stuck there. So you kind of will transition from the lending to the storing.
I mean,
so inherently, like I say, inherently Bitcoin will go some way towards fighting against Ribaa. Not what eliminate it, because not even gold can eliminate Ribaa, but it will do something at least in that way. Because even in the past, with Messenger of Allah in his time, if they gave out a gold loan, or gave dinar for Ribaa, when they gave that gold, it's no longer with them. They no longer have it. But the banks, they can give you the money and still have it. So it's a bit different.
No, barakallahu feek, Sheikh. Do you have any other advices or final remarks you'd like to make for the audience?
I would sincerely advise everyone to approach this topic with an open mind, and don't be afraid to question what you hear as to how close it is to reality. That's the key here. It's not about me convincing you that Bitcoin is true and you just trusting me. If you came out of this conversation trusting what I say, I think it's a mistake. You should take what I say, jot it down, and verify. That's the whole point of Bitcoin. As a point of Salafiyah. As a point. I came to Salafiyah because it gave the da'wah that you could verify yourself. You could hear someone say this is haram, and I'll say, Aina dalil. That was a narrative. Where's your dalil? Why is it now when it comes to money?
No one's asking for dalil. Everyone's just accepting, oh, Shaykh said therefore it is. No, ask for the dalil and verify, is what they say actually true?
And after you verify, is it true? Okay, even if it is true, is it something unique to Bitcoin, or does it occur with all money, including gold and silver? And I think you'll find that it's actually just look at silver. If silver is a currency, as people say gold and silver. If silver is a currency, according to Islam, silver just this last year went up by more than 100%. In 1 year, it went up 100%. So the price of silver goes up and down. So why no one say anything about silver? It's not being just. Be just. If you're going to criticize Bitcoin for something, make sure it's something that doesn't also occur with gold and silver. Otherwise, you just make a criticism for criticism's sake.
No. Barakallah feek wa jazakallah for your time. I know we've taken almost 3 hours, subhanallah.
Wow.
Since we first started, I think we were talking about it first, and we went into it. So the actual podcast, I reckon, will be just over 2 hours. But we've been on since almost.
I mean, what I would suggest anyone. I mean, if you go to my YouTube channel, I've actually got 18 different videos, each dealing with a particular objection. I'll collate through loads of fatwa from different people in ulama and their videos, and I've jotted down all their points and tried to summarize them all into concise videos, just teaching with each point at a time. Bitcoin's price going up and down, still should be an unknown, blah, 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 blah. And I just covered each objection one by one. I also have a whole series of videos talking about what is the network of Bitcoin, how does it work, and that kind of stuff. But yeah, don't delay in learning about it. There's nothing to lose in learning about the network. You don't have to buy Bitcoin, but at least understand what it is and know what it is. And then once you know what it is, you can decide what you want to do. If you want to buy it or you don't want to do it, it's up to you.
And also learn about the current system that we're in as well. why it's so
100%.
bad, why it's such a flaw, and why, you know, as Allah says in the Quran, He makes a riba like disappear. And overnight, you know, in 2008 when the financial crisis happened, money just, you know, because of the fact that they just research it. If you research it, you got Sheikh Muawiyah just said, you got nothing to lose at the end of the day by seeking knowledge, and, you know, come to it with an open mind. Don't just go for what you hear people say. It's like, look into it yourself, understand it, and then from there you can decide.
There's one thing that I found absolutely consistent throughout time, since 2017, since I've been in Bitcoin until today. There's one thing that has always been the case. Every single person who has delayed in learning about Bitcoin has always regretted it. They've always said, I wish I listened to you and I heard, Wallahi al-Azim, I'll tell you a joke here. There was one restaurant I took my wife to a while back.
2019 it was, 2019. Nice place, burger place. On Whole Street actually, called Mex Grill. So if you're in the area, check out Mex Grill. Mad burgers.
Local. Yeah.
So I said to the owner, do you take Bitcoin? He goes, what's Bitcoin? I don't know anything about Bitcoin. I heard about it, but I don't know. I said, it's just a currency. I mean, as a business, it'd be good to at least add options. You don't have to change your whole system, but at least add a payment option. Take Bitcoin. I said, if you want to know about Bitcoin, here's my number. Take the number and call me anytime. I said, yeah, cool, man. I'll be interested in looking into that. Yeah, I'll give you a call. He never called me. Wallahi al-Azim, last week, I woke up for Fajr and I looked at my phone and I had a text message from 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, who's texting me 3 o'clock in the morning? I read the message. Brother, I should have listened to you, man. Back in the day, I should listen to you. You told me, I just didn't listen. But alhamdulillah, now I'm in. This is the brother from that place. I'm like, wow, mad things. So I messaged him and said, bro, mashallah, it's glad to hear you got in. He said, yeah, man, you told me back in 2019, man. I don't know why I didn't listen then, brother. I should listen to you. But now I did my research and I found out about it now. I've committed now. I'm interested in Bitcoin. I've got some myself and blah, blah, blah. I thought to myself, subhanAllah. It's the same story all the time. I have not come across a person, and this is very, very rare. I think I'm the only person, I mean, I'm not supposed to, I'm just saying, I'm the only person I know of that got into Bitcoin not to do the price. As in, I was only interested, literally, I was updating my website in 2017. I was actually trying to hook in payment options. How do you get payment? So I hooked into PayPal. I had some issues with PayPal, wasn't working. I thought to myself, how do I get payment without these headache of these banks? So I just searched, what's Bitcoin? And I tried to figure out how can I get a Bitcoin onto my website. That was it. And from that moment, I got into Bitcoin. But I don't know anyone else, except they all have the same story. I heard about it, I ignored it. I came back a few years later, and I kicked myself for not listening. And that's the same story all the time. So it doesn't harm you to learn about it. Just basically learn about it. Just spend a couple of minutes, a couple of hours, read, educate yourself, and inshallah, hopefully, all as an ummah will benefit, inshallah.
Just before we conclude, because something came to my mind now. So if someone doesn't research it, doesn't look into it, and they go into it blindly based on speculation that, oh, I'm going to put my money in, hoping that it goes up, would that come under gambling? If they don't understand it, they don't know why they're doing it, they're only doing it same way as if they walk into a casino, I put 50,000 on red. They just walk into, I'll put 50,000 on Bitcoin. With no understanding, no education, they just think everyone else is making money, I want in on that. Would that be gambling?
It would be stupid, but it's not gambling. Why is it not gambling? Because gambling is a zero-sum activity. So I put money in, I either win my money back plus more, or I lose everything. That's how gambling works. So you're making a bet on an event. If this happens, I would earn. If it doesn't happen, I lose. Bitcoin, on the other hand, if I purchase Bitcoin, I haven't put money on something and I'm hoping, I've actually made an exchange. That's not a gamble. A gamble is not an exchange. No one goes to the casino, gives them money, and then gets back a car and they say that's gambling. No, you give money and that's it. You hope, you say, I'll bet on this number, I'll bet on that car, I'll bet on this and I'll bet on that, and I get some, and I might win. Gambling, this is not gambling, it's bad business. It's stupid behavior. You're going to throw money at things and expect it to go up. No, learn, educate yourself. That's why I always say to people, even Bitcoin, don't just buy Bitcoin.
Learn, educate yourself. Learn,
No.
But if you did do so, you know, make maybe what would happen? I guarantee what would happen though. I guarantee what would happen. If you go into Bitcoin and buy Bitcoin, truth, what's gonna happen? You're gonna buy here, Bitcoin will go up. You'll be like, yeah. It's gonna go up. It's gonna go down. You're like, oh crap, what's going on? You're going further. Man, this is a scam. I'm gonna get. You're gonna sell, and you're gonna sell at a loss. And it'll go up again.
Go back up.
Oh man, I made a mistake. You're gonna buy again. And you're gonna go down, and you're gonna sell. You're gonna be. It's just stupid. You're gonna act like an idiot. You don't know what you're doing. You're just guessing what's happening. You have no idea what's gonna do. But if you looked at what Bitcoin is, what can I do with Bitcoin? Where can I spend Bitcoin? How can I earn money from Bitcoin? Listen, you guys, Knowledge College, you can offer your lessons internationally, take payment across the globe, just by putting one link on your website to get Bitcoin payment. So anyone can just pay you and get access to your courses and done.
That's now a revenue stream you never had before.
It's true because we get a lot of people messaging saying, I don't have PayPal in my country, so I can't pay, or my zip code doesn't work in the card thing, this, that, one, blah, blah, blah. So that's
All
something that
these
we're actually looking,
nonsense
inshallah, to do, and we're going to need your advice and help.
Everybody who does an online service is a mug not to look at other avenues to earn money. And the thing is, you don't have to actually love Bitcoin, by the way. Some services, like for example, I think Coinbase, they even allow you that as soon as you get paid in Bitcoin, it converts it to pounds immediately. So you don't have to deal with the Bitcoin. But it doesn't mean you can't receive payment in Bitcoin. Of course you can.
An extra option for you.
It's just
an extra option.
One
thing I would say though, if you don't mind,
as we're a charity here, Al Madar charity, and we do lots of activities educating children about Quran. We have madrasa here. We've been still continuing our madrasa. Even though we have lockdown, we still continue our madrasa. We do adult classes. We have activities going on and so forth. And we also have, there you go. This is our charity wallet. If you want to donate to our charity, there you go. So you can basically send us some
charity
Bitcoin.
Allahumma barik. That's the future, man.
So,
honestly.
That's the future. So literally, I've just showed my address here on your video. Everyone who watches your video actually has now an option. Listen carefully. Everyone actually has an option to donate to a charitable cause right now. And you can actually follow on the blockchain what we do with that money. You can see, do they use it? Did they not use it?
That's one thing. We haven't used our Bitcoin yet. We're leaving it for now. But we're going to decide that if we do start spending it on activities for the charitable stuff, we're going to detail exactly how it can be spent online, and you can trace it on the blockchain. That's it. You just literally put the code on the internet browser, and you can see, on this day, these guys spent this amount of money to buy mushafs for new Muslims. They spent this amount of money to go and whatever. I mean, that's one of the things we want to do. So to have full transparency, this address we just gave you is fully transparent. You can check it. You can even check what's inside it now. And that's another benefit as well. One sister, mashallah, Allah bless her, she sent us 300 and something pounds last year as part of her zakah to the charity. Now it's 1,200.
So the charity is actually gaining by her sadaqah. So her sadaqah is increasing. أضعاف مضاعفة.
SubhanAllah. Wow, that's actually crazy. That's actually crazy. You might even donate £1, and 10 years time, that £1 might be worth.
Well, I'll let you into something. It's something I'll talk to you guys and others later on. I have a plan that I've decided to do this today. Actually, I was speaking to Freshly Grounded. I have decided to launch a project to build a masjid on Bitcoin. So the way it's going to work is that I want to get at least 12 du'at, 12 notable figures. I don't want any random person. I want people who people know and reputable in a community, and all for truthfulness and whatnot. And what we're going to do is, with Bitcoin, you can have what's called a multi-sig wallet. What multi-sig wallet means is that I can't spend the money, you can't spend the money. It's in the wallet, but no one can spend the money individually. You need a collective to say yes, signature to spend it. So what that means is that we can collect money to build a masjid, and people can trust that no one's going to run away with the money. I can't do it. You can't do it. It will take at least, it's physically possible for any one person to run away with it, even 2 or 3. We can make the wallet so that, for example, you can have what's called an 8 of 12 signature, 8 of 12, an 8 of 12 multi-sig. So basically, you have 12 people in the signature, 12 people in the wallet, but you need 8 people to say yes. So that way you can donate knowing that, okay, I trust Muawiyah, but still, Muawiyah might run away. I can trust Abu Bakr.
Yeah, Abu Bakr run away. Maybe Abu Bakr and but still they might collude, the two of them. What's the likelihood of 8 du'at, all 8 of them colluding to run away with the money? It's unlikely. So there's inherent trust in that. But the beauty of that is that anybody on planet Earth can just literally scan the address and send the Bitcoin and build masjid. Literally, think of it. Think of it this way. You can actually have a campaign internationally. Anyone who has an internet connection or YouTube video, they can say, oh, mashallah, it's a nice project. And you can actually follow the project and actually see the masjid being built due to their money that they're being put towards that. So that's a project I want to start working towards in the next month or so, getting to liaise with other brothers. Once I get enough brothers involved, make the wallet and then say, look, this is the project, make the plans, choose a location for the masjid to be built. And that's it. That's my plan. I want it to be the first masjid that's built entirely of Bitcoin from donations from across the world.
Barakallahu feek, Shaykh. Jazakallahu khairan. Everyone is watching. Hopefully you guys benefited, inshallah. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And also check out Crypto Hash Review, right? It's just one word, Crypto Hash Review on YouTube.
CryptoHashReview.com is the website. And also the YouTube channel is Crypto Hash Review. It's probably easier to find the video on our website. And from the website, you can go to the actual YouTube channel.
Makes sense. So CryptoHashReview.com, we'll have it in the description as well. And there's many, you got a Telegram channel for beginners, Telegram channel for people that's slightly more advanced. There's many forms of education out there. If not, Shaykh's videos, watch whatever video you find yourself, just educate yourself, take it from there. One last time, anything mentioned in this podcast is not financial advice. So just have to make that very, very
Everything we said here is for entertainment value only.
Entertainment and, of course, educational and,
And educational, inshallah, yeah.
Just our opinions, inshallah. But yeah, we'll end it there, inshallah. Barakallahu feekum for watching. See you guys on the next episode of Chai with my Bhai. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Peace.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Are you a believer? What's the proof of your iman then? There's a beautiful hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in which he said, وَالصَّدَقَةُ burhan. Charity is a burhan. Burhan is translated as proof. But this is such a beautiful usage of the language that I must explain to you what the word burhan means. You see, the Arabs would use the term burhan to describe the rays of the sun, because the sun is always there, but you only notice it when its rays reflect and shine down on the earth. And that's why the Arabs, if they wanted to talk about something which they called hujjatul qati'ah, a clear-cut proof, something that was a clear-cut evidence for something, they would call it a burhan, describing this proof as if it was like the sun out in the sky, shining with all of its glory onto the earth. And that's the word they use to describe proof. A proof that's so clear that it's blinding you with how clear it is. And that's the word the Prophet ﷺ chose to describe what charity does for the believer. You see, our iman is in our hearts, but also on our limbs. But a person on his limbs, he can be a hypocrite. He can be a munafiq. Charity is the thing that demonstrates that your iman is real. And if this is something that maybe didn't come to you before, and you didn't know how serious this concept was, I want to present you an opportunity that will help you. You see, the same way when you want to invest in business, you want to give to a business that's going to bring you a greater return. When you want to give charity, you also want to give in a place that will give you a greater return. Is there a return that can be greater than spending your money in the path of da'wah, in the path of la ilaha illallah, whereby funding da'wah projects, you're able to facilitate for people to come to la ilaha illallah. When that happens, you don't just get the reward of the money that you gave, but you get the reward of all that comes as a result of that money. The person comes to Islam, he learns wudu, he learns salah, he learns zakat, he learns siyam, he does it every day of his life for the rest of his life until he dies. He teaches his family members, he has kids, his kids have kids, their kids have kids. All of that is on your scale. All because you gave what? Maybe £50, maybe £100, maybe less. Brothers and sisters, as you know, we have a da'wah project that we're running online, and you guys have already seen the fruits that we've been producing with the tawfiq and the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In order to allow these da'wah efforts to continue, we are in need of Allah Azza wa Jal, of you guys to be a part of this. Click the link below and donate, and this will inshallah ta'ala benefit you before it benefits the person who receives the da'wah. With that said, Assalamu alaikum, peace.